Well, it says we're live. And we have the green light.
And you've hit
and
the blue button.
hit the blue button. We're missing one half of Loving BDSM.
Hello. Oh, we're still crooked too.
No, okay.
And it was still crooked during our live on Wednesday. And the camera was crooked when we recorded Monday's video. So,
well, it just goes with the whole week being off kilter, you know?
Well, I figure most of the time when people look at me, they do this and tilt their head a little bit anyway, so we've just made it easy.
Yeah.
Should we do our actual intro for anybody new here?
Do the intro, and then I'll fix the camera.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
A rickety, sad-looking Kayla Lords here. And your name is? Let me start over. Hello.
John Brownstone.
Kayla Lords of Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. This is our monthly live stream hangout, virtual Munch. Eventually, give us about 30 minutes. It'll be a Q&A. But we're not ready yet. For those of you who have burning questions, just let them burn a little bit longer. I look like how I feel. I think that's accurate for once.
That sums it up. Okay. All
okay,
right.
so we've said hello, and I'm going to say hello to individuals.
You say hello to individuals.
Please fix this camera. And feel free to zoom in a little bit. I'm looking rougher than I'd like. Or zoom out. I don't know. Hi, Kim. Hi, X. Hi, Silent. Hi, MJ. I'm scrolling. Hi, C. Stevens. I'm scrolling. Hi, Mr. Spock. I'm scrolling. Hi, Mally. I'm scrolling. Hi, Lisa. I'm scrolling. Hi, Eva.
Is that better?
I can't tell.
All right, well.
I'm still scrolling. Hi, Mel. I'm still scrolling. I just jumped. Hi, Dustin. Better. Hi, Susan. Hi, Sassy Girl. Hi, Little Cat. Hi, Little Miss. Did I miss anybody? I hope not. Hello.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Glad to have you with us tonight.
We're ending the week the same way the whole week is gone, I think.
Yes, indeed.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Look, Mr. Spock, I don't need to be on anybody's big screen. I don't need anybody to see these bags or how bad the hair looks or how sloppy I look or how tired I look. This is what happened to me today. I mean, I was tired, because isn't everybody? My allergies? Was it my allergies that messed with me?
Yeah, something like that.
How did I just start getting allergies in my flippin' 40s? None of this has ever been an issue
Welcome
before.
to the real world.
Sucks. I want to drop an F-bomb, but I'd like to keep monetization for at least the first 5 or 6 minutes.
Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah.
So, I also want to, I wish I could go back in time to high school and college aged me and let her know that wearing the big oversized baggy shirts to quote hide didn't hide shit. It just makes me look bigger. I actively don't like how I look right now because I'm like, I'm not actually that wide. I'm also not wearing a fucking bra, y'all. We're all just hanging loose here tonight because wherever you happen to be, it's nighttime for us. So I'm over it. I hit my at 1:30 this afternoon. I hit my fuck it point. There we go, demonetized. I went to take a nap that was supposed to be a 30-minute nap using
You didn't make it to your self-imposed time limit on.
No,
we're gonna have to work on that.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna go take a quick, short, afternoon nap because thank God we're self-employed and work from home and we have that luxury. And I'm gonna use the Calm app for their nap time sleep stories because usually those are perfect. They help me drift off. They bring me back. It brought me back, and I went, fuck this shit. Turned it off and went back to sleep and slept for 2 hours. I felt better-ish, like I wasn't as exhausted, but then I was dizzy, And I'm learning that when my allergies are acting up, that makes me dizzy, but I keep forgetting that I have an allergy issue. So I forget to take Claritin until it's so bad. I was laying on the couch with my head propped up to try to keep the room from spinning. And I remembered to ask you, hey, can you get me a Claritin? And about 20 minutes later, the wooziness went away. What kind of old age fuckery is this? What is happening? I don't like it. 0 out of 10, do not recommend. Oh my gosh. Lord. And then Kim is mentioning the chips and dip. We didn't even do chips and dip or liquor. We were going to do shots this time.
Yeah.
None of that has happened. None of that's happened. No.
I mean, X, I feel you. I'm pretty much allergic to everything but food.
Yeah, you're seasonal and environmental allergies.
Yeah.
The youngest is like that. His was so bad he used to break out in hives and itchiness, and poor pediatricians were like, he's kind of just allergic to the air. There's not much we can do for him. I was like, oh, okay, great. He outgrew some of that. He doesn't break out into hives anymore, but man, he sneezes all the damn time.
Yeah. So
I get pressure headaches. My whole face feels like it's going to explode.
I had gone through the whole allergy testing.
Mm-hmm.
I did the full 5 years of the shots.
Mm-hmm. So I know you had said that, I remembered you telling me a while back that you felt like it wasn't as effective anymore, but was it that the 5 years of shots semi-eliminate them or just reduced the way they impacted you?
Reduced.
Okay. Gotcha.
But, reduced it enough that for a long time, it was bad.
Mm.
It was bad.
And you had a lawn company, so a lawn maintenance business, so yeah.
Right.
Environmental and outdoor allergies are not a good thing.
No.
I other than doing what everybody does in this part of the South and sneezing like a fool during pollen season, I had never, ever until either late 30s or right as I turned 40, and I still haven't adjusted to it. And it's when the temperature warms up a bit outside.
Mm-hmm.
Spring and fall, basically. Summer, I don't really notice. I didn't notice it last summer.
Yeah.
Winter has been fine. But we go above 50 degrees, and I'm like, my face is trying to cave in on itself. It hurts so bad.
Yeah. I dread yellow season here in Florida.
Yeah. When even the black cars are yellow. Our black car is no longer a black car.
And the white car is yellow and everything.
Everything's
and the house is yellow.
Your blue cars turn green.
Yeah.
Your red cars turn orange.
Yeah. You know, that's when the oak trees bloom. And that is misery. That's one thing that I become the boy in the bubble.
Oh yeah. You're basically like pounding back Claritin and doing your nosy squeeze stuff, and Mr. Spock, you're right. In Florida, in summer we do not go outside. That is when we hibernate because the cold air is on the inside. So
we do it backwards from the rest of the country. Everybody else hibernates in the winter. I'm
happy with it that way.
You hibernate all the time, year round.
Basically,
yeah.
I see no problem with this. Now that the outside's trying to kill me, what incentive do I have to leave the damn house? Like, no, the air is like, we are going to get into your sinuses and do a jig, and it's going to be great. And I went, when I was having food sensitivities, and I did an allergy test a few years ago, and we found out I'm allergic to nothing, except the thing that they mark you with to show this is what a reaction would look like, and that makes you itchy. Whatever that is, that bothers me. So, no, I shouldn't be an act of bravery to be like your messy self in front of a camera, but I'm a woman on the internet. I understand. But yeah, I need to go back in time, write a letter to 17-year-old me and go, no, those oversized shirts are doing nothing for you. They're hiding nothing. Nothing. I wore this today because it was the least amount of anything that could touch my skin. Like when air goes up, it billows. Like then nothing's touching me. So.
Yeah, I was noticing while I was waiting for you to arrive, so many people have had a rough week this week. I don't know what it was,
There's something in the fucking air.
Something in the air, the moon.
I know. What's in retrograde? I don't know. I can't keep up.
Yeah.
This week was rough.
Like we were talking about it earlier, I accomplished things, but it just seemed like the days would never end.
Yeah.
Every time I thought I had finished the last thing I had to do, oh yeah, I have
nothing
to do this.
ever finished.
Oh yeah, oh gosh, I forgot about that. Oh, then there's this.
Yeah, there are weeks. The good weeks are where at the end of the day, even if it's a long day, there's a sense of accomplishment.
Right.
This wheel was a hamster wheel week where all the days were. I was doing work I don't really love doing anymore, but I like to pay our mortgage, so I'll do it. And I know that's where my energy drain came from. But.
Yeah, it's
vertigo. That was the word. Thank you, Kim. Yes, vertigo.
Yeah.
And 40s. Great. Yay. The best decade of our lives, huh? I'm dizzy now. Oh. So, just because I'm glad I set this up, the new way we do this. I can't think of the word. What are words? So that we ease into the Q&A. But just so everybody knows, for the first 30 minutes until 10 p.m. Eastern our time, and if you're in a different time zone, you need to level set. It's 9:43 p.m. Eastern our time. So in about 15 minutes, we will be happy to take questions. If you have a question you want us to answer, a couple of things. One, tag us in the comment at Loving BDSM so we see it. Two, please do not spam the chat with the same question over and over again. We have amazing moderators. I adore them. They will bump you for a minute because we're not here to spam nobody. But yeah, in about 15 minutes, we will start taking questions. I'll let you know when that time comes, but if you think of a question right now, like write it down or to put a note on your phone or something so you don't forget it, because I know how that goes too. I'm also, on my Instagram, I don't know. My Instagram, it's not called a For You page on Instagram. It's like your recommendation when you're scrolling through Reels, whatever the algorithm decided. It decided I needed to release some pressure through tears, so it showed me a bunch of sappy Reels that had me crying. And then it decided I needed to continue to question whether, another day in, do I just have anxiety like I've always thought? Or is it ADHD? Or is it both? Because it can definitely be both. And most days I'm like, no, I really don't think I have ADHD. I think it's, I think there's overlap in some of the things and whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I saw a couple Reels today and I had to stop and take a moment and go, that describes me. That describes me perfectly. I do all of that. I don't know. Yeah. So that's all I got. I mean, it's disturbingly quiet up here, but not because I'm in a calm, nice place where the rolling thoughts have finally gone, we're good. We're going to rest. It's more like it's a brain fog.
Yeah.
Like, what is my name? Who are you? I hope you're nice. You look nice. Also,
I'm Grumpy Daddy.
I knew you were going to post this picture in our Discord. For anybody who doesn't know, through our Patreon membership, we have a Patreon-only Discord. No pressure, this is not a sales pitch. I'm just giving you context. Anyway, and I let a lot of pictures that I don't love of me. If there's not that many because you don't take that many and I don't let that many be taken. But I'll let them go up in the Discord. Discord's like family. Like, y'all see me at my best and my worst. It's fine. Took a picture of me with Lola. And my response to the picture was, I look like shit. And this darling, amazing man went, that's the picture to post. in Discord. That one right there. We're not going to try a second shot. We're not going to see if we can, wait for her to stop moving before we click the shutter thingy on the phone camera. No. We're going to go with that one. And I look disgruntled, exhausted, and like I'm coming out of a coma. Like it just...
Lola's in one at the moment.
Yeah. And she looks adorable.
I love you.
I love you too. When you look bad in a picture, I go, no, let's retake it. No, let's retake it. No, let's retake it. Just so you know. Every time you see a selfie with JB in it, know that that's the best one I could get out of the time he was willing to sit and look at the camera. Just... I don't know what to tell you. I love you. I'm also, and I know this happens primarily with moms, but it can happen to any parent in a parenting situation. I am that parent who is in almost none of the pictures. Like, I have a handful of selfies because, like, when the boys are doing something monumental, like when they got vaccinated, I was like, let's take a selfie. And so I'll get a selfie, and I take pictures of them anytime there's, like, a thing, and I take pictures of you, and I do take pictures of you and I together, like, weekly. That's part of what we do over on our Instagram at That Handle I Hate. But in, like, part of me's sad that I'm not in any pictures, and part of me's like, no, I don't want to. I'm good. I'm happy to be on this side. It's fine. I don't mind selfies because I can control the angle. And I will not take a selfie if I can't get the right angle. I'm like, fuck it, we're not doing that. Like, I also know that filters on social media are primarily negative things for folks. They give us a false sense of what people look like. They give us a false sense of what we look like. And I'll be damned if I'm going to do a reel and not have a fucking filter on my face. I don't want one that changes the shape of my face. I don't want one that gives me false eyelashes. That looks fucked up weird. Like, that's not me. But I will absolutely use a fucking filter and get my angle just right.
You did the one with the mustache and looked pretty damn good.
I actually did look. I like this haircut and the 70s porn star mustache. Yeah. I actually was like, I'd date me, sure. But I feel like this face and this body and this hair and all of that, more socially acceptable if I was a guy. Not completely socially acceptable. I know there's body shaming for men too. I totally get that, but So there we go. We've gone on a 6-minute tangent. I'm not even sure. I don't know. Hi, y'all. I just want you to know that if you're new here, it both is and isn't always like this. It is completely random, and whatever thought pops into my head comes out of my face. But also, I'm not usually this cranky about it. And I had a nap. I don't really feel like I have any reason to be cranky.
I know.
And thankfully, the live chat knows me well enough. They just ignore me and have their own conversation. You know what, Little Miss? I will answer this question outside of the Q&A because every so often we answer it, but I know new people come in all the time.
Folks.
And
here it comes.
I think Little Miss should get an immediate round of applause for starting a potential rant. Our Instagram handle is the one I fucking hate for good fucking reasons. So first of all, if you don't know, our Instagram link
put my feet up now.
Is in the description box. If you don't follow us on Instagram, but you're on Instagram, we'd love it. I am acting a damn fool in the reels, so there's that. And it's Loving DS and the number 1, so Loving DS1. That's not our goddamn name. Our goddamn name is Loving BDSM. The reason I hate it, and before somebody tries to tell me, you can change your name. Let me tell you the story. When we first signed up for Instagram as Loving BDSM, my handle was Loving BDSM. Why? Because it's our fucking name. And then a couple things seemed to happen kind of at the same time or around the same time. One, we got a couple of really benign posts reported. I used a hashtag the vanillas were using, and they freaked out when they saw a BDSM thing and reported us or something. That's my theory. I don't know, but we got reported a couple times. Then And y'all, we don't post anything scandalous on that fucking Instagram. I didn't then, I don't now. But, and then I don't know where the account gets shut down. We barely had any followers. I think we were like 300 followers, barely had any followers. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? So then I'm like, okay, I can't get the name back to sign up for a new account, but can I get some iteration of Loving BDSM? No, because at about that same time, Facebook, who at that point owned Instagram, went, we don't like certain words. They make us feel something, and we don't like that. So I literally could not put the letters in order in the name BDSM. So I was like, fucking shit. I want to have an Instagram, but I need a name that maybe sounds like our name. So I was trying to do iterations. I was trying to do, and I couldn't get it. And I finally went, well, DS is really what we're about. Loving DS. I don't fucking love it, but okay, no, I couldn't get it. I could only get it if I put a number behind it. So the only thing I could fucking get that came close to our goddamn name was Loving DS and then the number 1. And I hate it because what I should be able to do is the same thing I can do on Twitter. I go, just follow us at Loving BDSM. Why? Because that's our goddamn name. But because Instagram/Facebook gets the ick if you say a word that gives them the ick, you can't even put it in your fucking handle. And so, now that we have over wrong account, over almost 3,800 followers on Instagram, I won't be changing it anytime fucking soon or starting any new accounts. 60, how many followers do we fucking have? Is it in the 6,000s? Is it the 3,000s? I can't keep up. Either way, I'm not changing it, but I fucking hate it. How many people
Mr.
follow us?
Spock, AdSense just crashed and burned.
Almost 6,500. The 11,000 is over on the Kinkery. I'm very proud of that one. I worked very hard to get us there. So yes, it's Loving DS1 because Instagram/Facebook suck and are completely sex and kink negative, and they don't like things that give them the ick. And so here we are.
You know, I don't think you really got your point across. You know, tell us how you really feel about Loving DS1.
Oh God, it makes me so mad. And then here's the thing that kills me. In our bio, in our name, we are Loving BDSM. You know that if you go there. But with reels, most people never go there, right? So they're just scrolling and they see your reel, and I try to make it clear in any reel I do. I put power exchange or kink or something, and I use the appropriate hashtags. But people don't know our fucking name is Loving BDSM, and then they're wondering why this crazy chick is talking about BDSM, and I want to go, it's in the fucking name. But it's not! You have to go read our bio, and you have to care enough to go read our fucking bio to know who the fuck we are. It makes me so mad. It makes me so mad.
I'd like to take your blood pressure right now.
No. Thank you, Little Miss, but also I hope that clarified. But also that was a palate cleanser. I feel I'm hot and sweaty now, but definitely some humidity's happening. But they're always happening. I mean, just what happens.
Just a warning, Little Miss. Careful what you ask for.
You just might get it. Maddie, here's my favorite. Maddie's like, I'm listening to episodes from 2018, and she rants about the same thing back then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do. Oh, Mr. Spock, I'd have been so pissed.
DS9, yeah.
I'd have been, yeah, you would have fucking loved it, and I'd have been even crankier. I know, and it's so funny because people try to be helpful. They're like, you know, you can change your name, your handle, but not to what I fucking want. And if I can't have what I want, why the fuck am I going to go through it again? Oh, I'm hot now.
Folks, I'm sorry. If she had been drinking and gone off on that rant, I probably would have left.
I don't know. I've never gone on a rant while inebriated. I don't know what that would be like. I honestly don't. I know Silent Winged is now saying maybe we should try that. Well, there's always next month, okay? We thought we would do some shots this month and let me get tipsy and answer questions. And then the week ended on a positive note. I mean, it's not official yet, but at least finally. And I'll let we can give that mini update if you want, but it was just a wild ride of a week. Like normally Wednesdays, like that's a good midpoint. We're doing the live stream. like, I'm feeling good about it, and then the rest of the week I just have to wrap up, and it was a slog. Wednesday was fine, because but even that, I procrastinated editing next week's video, because I thought we had royally fucked it up. I was like, oh my God, we did not do any of those companies any justice, because we did like a roundup recommendations, coming to YouTube on Monday. And then I went, and the next day, I gotta fucking edit this damn thing. We were fine. We were not as fun as when we talk about other things, but we were fine. It's just been a week. You know, Linux, I have thought of that. And I agree with you. I agree with you. People, like, really can't handle it when it's the sub talking. Well, that just means people who are following us, like, actually potentially like and or give a shit, and so I'm good with that. So would you like to give, or do you want me to give the mini, it's a mini update, but it's from the accident in September where somebody got hit by a literal fucking car. And we're still dealing with it. The car accident, which thankfully nobody got hurt, and I'm sure that's a big reason why that got wrapped up in, like, no time at all. Money paid, no questions, no headaches. The biggest headache with the car accident was waiting to get it fixed. But that's overdone with. We've moved on with our life. The motorcycle accident continues to hang over our heads.
Yeah. So apparently there is a law here in the state of Florida that in order for your uninsured motorist to pay out, if you have gone to a hospital due to the accident, the insurance company needs a letter of lien.
Which just means that
From
they
the
haven't
hospital.
put a lien on any of your stuff. You're not in collections.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. You're not so far beyond paying the hospital that they're taking you to court over it, or have taken you to court.
So, you know, sounds simple enough, right? It's state law. Obviously, this is something every hospital at one time or another has had to deal with, and, you know, you get a letter and get your money and off you go.
Move on with your life.
Right. No.
Are we going to get a low-key JB rant?
No. The hospital is dealing with bullshit. I had been calling since October.
Mid-October, easily.
Yeah, easily. And I was either met with customer service reps who were like deer in headlights and who kept telling me that, oh, we're a no-lien hospital. And, all right, can you put that in a frickin' letter and send it to me?
Or send me to the person who can type.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine if it's not your job. You're understanding.
And round and round we went. So I was like, okay, I know how some of these things work. Let me speak to your supervisor.
Oh, I'm in the background going, I need you to escalate that call. Just ask politely. Ask for a supervisor. Escalate the call. Former call center person. I get it.
They escalated it, sent it to their supervisor, and I was immediately, well, most cases I was sent to voicemail. In some cases I was disconnected. When I left a voicemail, I never got a return call.
But you did get scolded when you followed up one time after a voicemail.
Yes.
Because how dare you call back before giving the person time to call you back? And when you said, but every time I leave a voicemail, nobody calls me back, they scoffed.
Yeah.
And said that you needed to wait. Y'all said he needed to wait. That person was returning calls.
Yeah. And then at one point, I got the brilliant idea. Well, okay, I'm talking to the billing people here, and it could be very well that these people, and I know they don't work in an office because I could, you know,
near their kids.
I could hear several number of calls. I'd hear kids crying in the background and whatnot. So I started asking them to connect me to their legal department.
Couldn't get anywhere there either.
We don't have a legal department, sir.
Which that's not true.
Yeah,
That's
right.
a hospital.
Right.
They absolutely do.
Yeah.
And they have a department that deals with claims that have attorneys attached to them. So, like, if you had gone out and gotten an attorney after your accident,
Yeah.
you would never have talked to those people.
Exactly.
First of all, you probably never would have talked to no damn body. It would have been
Right.
the attorney. But for the amount
Yeah.
of money we were talking about, it was not worth it to get an attorney. They would have taken up the money we needed to pay the fucking hospital bill. So all that.
In the meantime, too, my insurance company is contacting them. She is sending them faxes to request this stuff.
Because they're requiring it requests by fax.
Right.
Because we
And-
live in the 1900s.
Yeah. And, Eva, I did. At one point, I was like, okay, I'm going to go down there to the hospital and I'm going to talk to somebody in person. Do you know what they did? They sent me from department to department to department to department, and nobody would help me.
And by the end, they said,
And they gave me a phone. The last person I talked to gave me a phone number, which was the customer service number. Yeah.
We tried that route.
Yeah.
Didn't help.
Yeah. Did not help.
And the number, first of all, the different employees are scattered around wherever they're working from home, but the department for the hospital corporation, like the business side, is not one in Ocala where we live or in Florida. Mm-hmm. They're like in a completely different state,
Right.
Like, because it's part of a whole, like most hospitals, it's part of a whole conglomeration, blah blah thing. So yeah, we had to go by phone. We had to do this, and I'm in the background going, escalate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to give you different words to say because you were repeating what the insurance adjuster had
Right.
said, and I was like, maybe they just haven't heard it called that before. So let's try this. Let's try that. Blah blah. But finally, from October when you started this journey, even though the accident was in September,
Yeah.
to mid-February, what happened just today?
I got a phone call from my insurance adjuster. And she told me they want this thing settled too. They want it off their books.
Yeah, they're trying to deal with it.
They did send me a check originally, but she basically told me that the check was not worth the paper
It was a
it was written
two-party
on.
check. It was made out to you in the
It was a
hospital.
two-party check. And I even asked the hospital one time, I was like, look, I want to pay you. I want to give you your money. Can I send you this check? I'll endorse it and I'll send it to you. And she's like, hold on, I have to speak to my supervisor. And I wait. And I wait, and she comes back. I'm waiting for an answer, and that went on and on and on and on too.
And at one point, somebody told you yes, you could do it, and I didn't trust that. I was like, this doesn't. If this was going
Yeah.
to the actual physical hospital in town, okay, or you could walk it into the billing department, okay. Even though the check is way more than the bill. Thank God for health insurance. So I didn't trust that either. It was like, they're not going to give us a refund. They're not going to have a credit on our account and issue us a refund check. They're never going to do that. So I said, call again and confirm, because I don't trust that answer you got. Thank God we called and confirmed. They were
Yeah.
like, no, we're not going to take a two-party check, which we knew, but we were like, well, let's find out.
Because the check also was more than
Way
more than what the bill
more. It's going to cover
was.
all the bills that came out of this.
And I was like, am I going to get
right.
a refund back on the other money?
So,
Yeah.
all this, here we are today.
And then they said, no, we can no longer accept second-party checks.
Right. So, all of this.
Yeah. So all of that.
Here to today.
To today, I get a phone call from the insurance company because I did not sign off on this. When they sent me that check, there was a paper in there they wanted me to sign and notarize that this has been settled.
And it has not.
And I looked at that and I was like, no, I am not signing this. I'm not notarizing this until I know this stuff is settled and paid. So they want this off of their books.
Then they also, they want you to sign that paperwork saying you're not going to come and sue them.
Right. They want this done and settled and everything. So the insurance adjuster called me this morning. And she met with her supervisor to talk about me. And the supervisor said, cut him a check, let's get this settled.
Yeah, because at this point, the insurance adjuster has done everything she can. You've done everything you can. It's the hospital that's not cooperating.
Right.
And so, I had told you this weeks ago, I was like, there's got to be either, maybe not a loophole, but like leeway in the law, because what happens if you don't get this paperwork?
Right.
Like, what are you supposed to do? Never get a claim paid out? Never close a claim? So
Right.
yes, now it's all still in the works. So they had to put a stop payment on that first check, which
Right.
is basically just a bookmark at this point, and has been.
Yeah.
Then we got a holiday on Monday, so everything's going to be closed down. So then they've got to issue a check, get it to us. We have to get the paperwork signed and notarized, get it back to them. But you know what?
Yeah.
Within a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
this is all going to be fucking settled.
Because
and I will
they
have paid this goddamn hospital.
They'll put once they get the confirmation from the bank that the stop payment on the first check has gone through the bank, they will issue the new check, and finally get this freaking motorcycle madness done and behind. Yes.
Done.
Yeah. So it has been a cluster. This crap has kept me up at night.
Yep.
Going round and round because not just the hospital bills, but the other bills
Yeah, the
associated
ambulance
with
bill
this.
came in. Like, a couple of things came in. We're
Yeah.
like, we
You
could
know.
really use that cash now,
plus
Geico.
had doctor appointment that came out of pocket, and
Yep.
all this is so it's it's about time. About
I'm just
time.
glad, as frustrating as this has been, I'm glad that when we got you motorcycle insurance.
Yeah.
And 2, we got full coverage. Partly because it was so inexpensive.
Right.
A full year's it was a year's
Year.
policy, cost $150.
Right.
And quite frankly, when you finally do get a new motorcycle, now I'm pretty sure if we go through Geico again, the rate will go up because you've had an accident.
Right.
Whatever. But I will probably boost up all your limits just because, quite frankly, our biggest worry, we got lucky. It doesn't feel like luck, but it is luck. We got lucky that our health insurance took off so much of the overall bill.
Yeah.
But if that hadn't been an option, the money that Geico is sending us would never
have been enough.
Never have been
No.
enough. We'd have been in debt to this damn
and I
hospital
got
the
to
rest
say,
of our lives.
there was one time, talk about false hope. There was one time I called, and the customer service rep I was talking to, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know what you need. I will get this letter out, and I will get it to you. I will get it out to you today in the mail.
Bless them. Bless their little heart.
Bless her little heart.
The thing is, other than that one person who scolded you, which that grated on my fucking
Yeah.
nerves, but
yeah.
other than that one person, everybody you spoke to was always pleasant. They were
They
always
were.
professional, and you
They
were
were.
always pleasant and professional.
Yeah.
Which, it's the bureaucracy of the system, both that we
Yeah.
have and that they have created at the hospital, and the people who work there, they're just working in it. They're just trying to follow the rules. I'm pretty sure they get off these calls and go, this is so fucked up. Why is this so difficult? Like, I get it. We were never rude to any of them. There were a few times I was ready to snatch that phone from you.
Yeah, I know.
And be like, let
I
me
know.
try. I wouldn't have gotten anywhere either, but I'd have felt better. Because sometimes you are so unfailingly polite that there are follow-up questions. I'm like, well, did you ask this? You're like, no. I'm like, well, did you ask this? No. And I'm like, maybe next time I'll talk, because I'm going to ask my questions. It's easier for me to do it on your behalf than it is for my own behalf.
And there were times I did want to get angry,
I know.
but at the same time, as much as I was calling, I didn't want to be labeled. With
You were getting a different person every time. You were not being labeled shit.
I know.
You were not being... Now,
But-
if you had started cussing, there might have been a note in the account.
Right. But anyway, the person who said, oh, yes, I know exactly what it is you need. We will get it out to you, and it will be in the mail today. She did get something in the mail. And a week later, it arrived. It was another bill.
It was just another copy of the bill.
Just another
But
copy
that was
of the
also
bill.
the same person who went, oh, yeah, send us that two-party check.
Yeah.
Just endorse it. Get it in the mail. Oh, Lord. Okay, so it's after 10,
yes, it is.
by the
Yes,
way.
it is. Yes,
that
it is.
was as close as you get to a JB rant, by the way. For him to lean into a microphone and go, bullshit. Like that's it. So a twofer. We will continue to chat about whatever and anything, but if you want to ask questions about BDSM, about us, just whatever, now is a great time to start asking them in the live chat. Please tag us so we will see them. I will not see them if you don't tag, because sometimes the chat moves a little bit faster than I can. So but yeah, just at Loving BDSM, ask your question. Make sure you've typed the BDSM in correctly, because I know how it gets, the fingers go faster and then they get transposed and then I don't see it. And you think you tagged somebody. Yeah. And then just a reminder for any eager folks who are desperate to get their questions answered, please don't spam the chat with your question. You will get put in a timeout.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, my mouth is dry. Sorry, y'all. I'm chugging down this caffeine-free Diet Coke like it's going to help me, and it's carbonation and bubbles. Okay, thank you. I see we got tagged. Merritt asks, I'm realizing I'm more of a little than any other type. I have a daddy, but how do you not feel out of place while being little when you're scared of rejection? By the way, he's never rejected me. I don't think personally my fears of rejection never were tied to specific parts of my role, like being a little or being submissive. It was just like my whole personhood was fearful of that. So the specific rejection of who you are as a submissive, I'm not sure I can quite relate to that, but just rejection in general. To me, it's about the trust you establish with your partner.
Yeah.
If they have never rejected you and it is your own internal fears from the things you've experienced or just anything else that you're dealing with, or have dealt with in the past, I think we've said this before, it's fine to take your time and to go slow and to ease into things. Mm-hmm. Eventually you kind of have to take a little bit of a leap of faith based on the logical knowledge you have, the knowledge you have gained of this person does not reject me. This person is never unkind to me. They accept me as who I am. I will take a small little leap of faith and try to be this person more fully that I want to be and see what happens. And if they're true to who they have been, as you will probably believe and know and can see for yourself that they are, it will work out fine. And the more often you do that over time, the easier it gets. One thing that I have leaned on back in the day, early in our relationship, when if you heard the first 10 minutes of this stream, you know I've got body issues still, but I was really, really bad with my own appearance and my body issues and what I saw in the mirror. And I just, And part of what helped me start to work through some of that was I kind of had to mind fuck myself. I had to do the thing of, my daddy says I'm beautiful the way that I am. My body is perfect to him. Those are my issues. So replace your internal monologue here, right? Fill in the blank. My daddy says this good thing about me.
That's right.
And if I don't believe him, I'm calling my daddy a liar, and my little subby heart couldn't handle it, okay? It's like, my daddy's not a liar. He's the best daddy ever. And he is. But that was enough for me to go, I don't believe this thing about me, but he does, and I'm going to listen to my daddy. So if that can apply to your situation, talk to your partner and go, I could use a reminder, like, this is what I'm afraid of. What do you think? And then assuming that your partner gives you that positive feedback that it sounds like he probably would if he's never rejected you up to this point, then instead of listening to yourself internally, maybe try listening to your partner. They're the one in control and in charge, and they have the power, right? Based on however you've negotiated, and you want to listen to them. If that's part of your experience as a submissive, is you want to do what your partner says and you want to listen to them, then sometimes that can be a good temporary way to work through it until you learn the confidence and you start to believe it for yourself.
Yep.
What would you say?
You said it all.
I tried.
You did.
So hopefully that helps, Mary.
Okay.
Did we get another one?
Yeah, and I'm going to take that one.
Okay, I'm going to see it.
Okay. Little Cat Jam asked about what the picture is on your shirt.
It's your shirt, actually.
And yes, actually, that was my shirt.
Can I pause here? I'm going to stand up. I'm going to show off the braless. Well, no, I'm not showing off the braless. Gravity is going to show you. I need you to see something about this shirt. So I'm going to stand up. And everybody see how big? That used to be JB's shirt, is my point.
Yeah.
He had to give it to me. I love big baggy shirts. He had to give it to me when it became basically a dress on him. It was like, just put a belt on that, okay?
Yeah. So what that shirt is, back in the day before my back went south, I was an avid kayak fisherman. And I used to fish in what they call no-motor tournaments, where the tournament, everybody involved in the tournament fished in a kayak. And I did that for years. Mm-hmm. The kayak fishing, the no-motor tournaments, and that is one of my tournament shirts.
Yes. This will have to be kept until it disintegrates on it.
Yeah.
It'll be like nipple pasties. That'll be all that's left of it. It'll be like, I can't get rid of it. This was back when I was kayaking and fishing, so we have to keep it forever.
And then there is one other one.
Hold on. Little Cat Jam asked, what would you say is your little age? I don't have one. Baby girl for me is more of a... All littleness is a state of mind to some extent, but I don't identify with an age at all. There are certain activities that I tend to enjoy that are stereotypically little. Like, I love animated movies in general, but Disney's my favorite. I love a good stuffy. I'm very happy with a good stuffy. You're not gonna find me coloring. I actually find coloring stressful because you have to pick the right colors or your picture won't look right. My perfectionist can't handle it. Coloring out the lines? What? No, I can't handle it. So, you won't find me coloring. And I don't regress. My baby girl self comes out. It's out. That part of me is out a lot more often than it used to be. But early days when I was figuring out who I was, it would come out when I felt safe because it's a point of vulnerability for me. So my ability to giggle and be silly and goofy and also to cry and whine and pout, those were both things that childhood trauma that we will not go into. And discovering those things about me, they are very authentic to who I am, but they are states of being and mood, not age for me. So while I consider it being a baby girl for myself to be in the universe of being a little, there's no regression or age or anything like that for me. My voice changes, but it does not change in the way that some people's voice does when they regress to that their age, their little age. Mine just becomes softer, I think. Yeah. When I'm happy, it becomes higher pitched. When I'm unhappy, it becomes whinier. I don't know. That's how.
And then there's the squeals.
Yeah, I mean, I probably could have been safe my whole life to show that level of excitement. But I didn't. Like, if you're not allowed to show negative emotion in your life, why do you think you're free to show positive emotion? And so it's very much a vulnerability thing. Y'all get to see a lot more of it than anybody in my vanilla life would get to see. You get to see all of it. I'm so sorry. The kids
good, the
get
bad,
to
the
see
ugly.
some of it. They find it hilarious. But they don't really have formative memories of me. The oldest has some, but most of their most formative memories are of me with you. Yeah. And so you helped bring this out in me because I'm safe. And so then they get to see my playful side, my childish side, all of that. I'm not sure how to say your handle, G Nikita. Sorry, I was reading it funny. I was like, G Nikita? Nikita's World. Sorry. I can read. I'm so sorry. And first of all, I just want to say I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
DS breakups suck. I don't care if it's your first or your 10th. They suck. They suck. They suck. And I'm glad we can help. And also I tell you that whatever you're feeling, totally valid, totally normal. You're not asking for advice, so I won't give unsolicited, but your feelings are valid and the suck is understandable and you are not alone. And anybody who's gone through it, Ophelia. And also I'll learn how to read handles at some point. My eyes will open. Here we go. Little Cat asks, have I ever watched Naruto? I have not. I've heard that name, but I don't even know what that is.
I'm not familiar with it either.
Mally, what did you watch on 20 speed? And did you retain any information from it? So. Oh my gosh, okay, I'm going back up.
Okay.
Yeah, like Mally, you were gone for like half a second. I need to know, did you retain anything? Oh, and Silent Wing, no, you don't have to put anything in the Discord. We're trying to scroll, I promise.
Yeah.
Anime. I have never gotten into anime. I don't have any opinions one way or the other. I don't think of it in a negative way. I don't, like, I'm neutral.
Mm-hmm.
I just never have gotten into it. What about you?
Not a lot of the newer anime, and I don't even know if you can consider what I watched at that time anime. Okay. One of the ones I watched, Digimon.
Sorry, blank. There's just
Yeah,
blank
I know.
here.
Yeah. And oh god, what was the other one? I think it was called. It was only around for a very short time, and I enjoyed it. Reboot, I think it was called, where it was like basically inside a computer, and these beings lived inside the digital world.
Oh, okay.
And kind of got into Sailor Moon for a while.
I could see that about you.
That's about the extent of it for me.
Mr. Spock, I was going to ask. I was like, are you digging on 50 Shades by calling it only 20 shades? Like, there's so few shades of gray in that. There are only 20, not 50. I was wondering. X says Reboot was not anime.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I never got into it. I find some bits and pieces I happen to every once in a while see online kind of fascinating. Like, there's an entire, like, online culture around. I'm sure there's beyond online culture, but I always feel like I don't know what's happening when I see any of that. Those are the moments I like feel out of touch with the rest of the world. I'm like, I'm probably over here reading a historical novel, maybe watching a 20-year-old Disney movie. That's about what I'm doing. Thundercats.
Maddie, that's like past trauma.
Look, I just had some valid questions in some of the shows. Frosty the Snowman.
So
first of all, that little girl was wearing shorts or a skirt in the snow. Like, she kind of had a jacket on, like the little animated character, but her bare legs were out and it was snowy, and I was like, what? Then she starts talking to Frosty, and they get on the train, right? They're getting on the train to go somewhere, and I'm like, where are this child's parents? And look, I was just asking questions. Then we watched Charlie Brown Christmas something whatever the fuck that one's called, and I just pointed out that Lucy's not as bad as everybody makes her out to be, and bossy bitches get shit done. And I just don't think she should be made out to be a villain, because I myself am a Lucy. And, somebody did not like to have their childhood favorites questioned, but I just had questions.
Things like Charlie Brown's Christmas, Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph. Those were all cartoon classics I grew up with.
And I asked the questions.
And we were home one night, and it was after we had gotten married, and we had a bottle of champagne. The kids were gone. I don't remember. I thought they
were in bed.
Maybe they weren't.
They were somewhere.
I thought they were gone. And we decided to pop the bottle of champagne and watch these.
It was delightful.
Christmas classics.
I think I also Instagrammed some of what was happening
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
You'd have
Or-
to go
or
digging. Maybe I
Tweeted.
something.
Yeah. And yeah, she trashed all.
I did not trash
Yes, you
anything.
did. Yes, you did.
I
Yes, you
asked
did.
questions. I think points were made. I looked at it with fresh eyes. We have an actual question.
It's like reading erotica,
suspension of disbelief. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. No, that child was wearing shorts or a skirt in the snow and getting on a train with a
Jesus.
stranger. Where the
You
fuck
see
were her
how our
parents?
youngest wants to go to school and it's 26 degrees. He wants to wear shorts and a t-shirt. So what is so
Just saying.
unrealistic about that? That's what kids do.
It's fine. I'm going to answer this other person's question. Hi, Laura. Laura says, I discovered you and the fact that I'm kinky during the pandemic, and I'm just now starting to know kinky people in person, but it makes me quite nervous. Do you have any advice? The first thing I would say is to remember that we kinky people are not as different from non-kinky people as it's easy to think that we are. If you are going out to be around kinky people, if you haven't done this already, my top recommendation is do a munch first.
Yeah.
Munches typically are set in vanilla settings. There's no expectation of a certain way of dressing. Actually, the expectation is most of the time that you will dress like you're going out into the non-kinky world, whatever that looks like. So people don't wear their fetish gear. People don't come in to specifically be their kink selves. They're just normal people out in the world. I would also do your best not to put pressure on yourself to socialize with everybody, say hi to everybody. If your natural way is to kind of hang back and watch, that's fine. If you happen to be an introvert, maybe an extrovert will adopt you. That is often helpful if they're not overwhelming. If your first times meeting people can be at events like Munches, reach out to the coordinator of the Munch. If you're finding these events on FetLife, then you will usually see who the coordinator is. Let them know that you're new. Let them know that you're nervous. Most good coordinators of those kinds of events will, one, know you're new because they know who's coming and going. Mm-hmm. And two, they will usually, if nothing else, introduce themselves and kind of give you the lay of the land. And then sometimes, and depending on comfort level, they'll kind of put you next to somebody that they know is probably a good responsible kinkster, or somebody who's maybe not going to be too overwhelming, or just like, here, sit here. But it's also okay if you go into a space and you're in the corner just watching. That's okay.
Sometimes at Munches they have designated welcomers who will happily sit with new folks, answer questions, kind of talk to you. Now, the other thing too, understand, with going to a Munch, you are under no obligation to give your name. If you are uncomfortable with that, you just give your fet screen name, and that is perfectly acceptable. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it going to a Munch and meeting kinksters is kind of like getting into a DS relationship for the first time. It's a matter of building trust, and being comfortable with the people. That's what I did when I first went. It's like, I'm not giving these people my name. These people are scary. I'm not giving them my real name.
And then you find out that they work at the bank, they work at the hospital, they work at schools.
Yeah.
They're like you. Like they're doing what you're doing out there in life.
So, it was no big thing. And, we said this in past episodes. When you go to a Munch, Vegas rules apply. What happens at a Munch stays at a Munch. Because the other folks there, they have family, they have lives, they have friends outside of kink, and they have jobs, and they are as worried about being outed as you are. So it's they are worried about the same things you are. They have those concerns as well. So,
and the other thing I would say, because Silent Wing made a good point, is like, much like a relationship, you can get halfway through one Munch. Sometimes I go, no, thank you. If you go into a space, let's say you are going to a Munch as a way to meet kinky people, and the vibe is off to you. You were not comfortable. People were not friendly to you. It just didn't feel right to you. That is not a you problem. That's a them problem. That's an energy doesn't vibe thing. You have done nothing wrong. It's not that the kink world is a problem. It's that those are not your people. And it's okay to not go back. Don't force it. It's one thing to be uncomfortable because you have your own anxiety and you are uncomfortable. That is one thing to work through. It is another thing if not one soul speaks to you, if people give you funny looks, if you are ignored. We went to a Munch. We went through that.
Yeah.
And we were not newbies. You've been doing this 2 decades. I've been doing it with you for several years now. We were comfortable in who we
were a
are.
newbie at that particular
We were a
Munch.
newbie in that community and that Munch, and we walked in and the organizers didn't speak to us. The long term, we had a couple people who did speak to us, but they were people who go to all the different Munches. Like this was not their regular Munch, and we never went back because that was not our place to be. And so that can happen. But just the big thing is just to remember that this is like going into, now if you're like me and you have severe social anxiety, there's no just like, oh, it's easy. It's just like going into like a new job or any place with new people. Like it's still, there's a lot and you got to work through it and you got to, it's not always easy. But unless you're going, your first experience out to meet kinky people is like at the dungeon for a play party, that might be a little intense because you are going to see probably nudity and some people swinging from chandeliers, both metaphorically and literally. Yeah. But if you go to a Munch or you just meet up with somebody that a couple people you're chatting with on FetLife or some other platform, and you meet up for coffee, like it's going to be people meeting up and you're going to share the information you're comfortable with. Like JB said, it doesn't have to be a real name. And you might talk about the things you have in common that have nothing to do with kink. And then the nice thing is that then, as long as it's discreet and like you're not weirded out and the people around you aren't weirded out, you can then also talk about kink with people who get it. Like you don't have to explain the basics of anything if it happens to come up, right? So the biggest thing is to remember that kinky people are people. Like you see us here, this is what, I usually at least put a bra on, but this is what we look like out in the world. The difference is if I don't think I'm in a kink space, I just won't talk about kink. I won't call you daddy, Yeah. But we're all just people. So, but yeah, depending on how you're engaging with kinky people in the real world, our top recommendation is start with a Munch because that's now, the least like overwhelming, I think.
Now, one thing, and I don't know if they still do it anymore. The Phoenix Club once a month used to hold a social at the dungeon, and there was no play involved at that time. And basically what they did, they opened up the dungeon for people who had never been to a dungeon before. And they had a social. People would bring cake, they would have coffee, sodas, different things, and it would give people an opportunity to go in and see the dungeon, talk to other kinksters, and it would be in a non-stressful way of, being concerned, you have to play. And they would kind of give you a tour of the place and talk about the different equipment that was there, the protocols of the dungeon, and this and that. So it kind of eased you into it without feeling the pressure,
And you were around kinky people in a kink space, so it was more acceptable to be loud about your kink. Like you could have a louder conversation or a more direct conversation.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? Okay. Nikki, I'm going to remember it now because I fucked it up the first time. Okay, Nikita asked, on the Discord, that's through our Patreon, patreon.com/KaylaLords. It's minimum $2 a month to join, but we do make it for members only just to kind of control it a little bit better. So that's how you access our Discord.
It's a member perk, yeah.
It's definitely a member perk, and that's probably my favorite part about it. It's very chill, like it's very low-key. Good people there. If I do say so myself. I'm not one of them. I'm barely ever there, but there's good people in there. Anyway, but the doubting yourself and hating all the tears and stuff, I get that. There's, I remember from so far, knock on wood, my one and only DS breakup. I say knock on wood, he's not going no damn where, but I mean, in theory, we're in an open, ethical non-monogamy kind of situation, and I could have another relationship, and I guess that could go south, but you have to talk to people for that, and I'm not interested. So, knock on wood, my only DS breakup. I was both grief stricken to the point I could barely eat, and one of my closest non-kinky friends like was having to get me to eat, and I couldn't explain to her that the person who told me what to do every day was not talking to me anymore. She just knew I was going through heartbreak and was really supportive. And I went from that like barely functioning, I was so grief stricken, to berating myself why we weren't together forever. Why am I behaving this way? And it's the intensity of a power exchange. Like, there's intensity to non-kinky relationships, of course there is, but there is something inherently different to me about negotiating that power exchange where even in brief ways, one person had control over another person's aspect, and you were so interconnected where you were reaching out, you were depending on each other. And I think that's true of doms or subs. It's not one side of the slash or the other. It's either side. There's such an interconnected that's not a real word, but y'all know what I mean, to what power exchange can be. And there are hopes for it and our expectations for it, and the way we, start planning for the future and thinking of what might be and how good it can feel when it's your first one. And like, that's just a lot that I have never experienced in a non-kinky relationship. And so it's, part of that is trying to forgive yourself and be kind to yourself. Like, what would you say to a friend who is going through this? Okay, those things that I'm assuming are probably very kind and nice and helpful, you are worthy of the same love and attention and care that you would give your friend. So pretend you're talking to a friend, but know that you're talking to yourself. Like, you deserve that kindness as well. But yeah, cry as much as you need to. I am absolutely here. I don't care how long your DS relationship was for. This is for everybody out there. I don't care if y'all were together for 5 minutes or 50 years. You grieve the way you need to grieve. You grieve for the length of time you need to grieve. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, I know we had some other stuff. I'm scrolling. Kim says, I just lost it. I'm scrolling back up. Kim says, everyone says don't go on FET to date. Pathgirl quotes you to go to a Munch for friends, not boyfriends. So where do you find relationships? I'm a big proponent of finding relationships within friendships. So you can go to FET Life to date. You can put it on your profile that you're looking for a partner. The thing we caution against, because it gets so many people in trouble, is that they try to build a partnership from the first conversation. Yeah. Get to know the person as a person first, understanding that, hey, if there's a vibe and this is compatible, we might try something else. People go to parties for pickup play and they carefully negotiate a scene. You can do that. You can go online to, find pickup play that's online or in person. That's fine, as long as you're making your intentions very clear. But when it's a relationship, our personal experience suggests that the very first conversation should not be, let's jump into some negotiations of what a relationship is going to look like. The first 10, 50, I don't know, however many you need, are about establishing that we actually like each other as individuals and people, and we respect one another. And that's a certain type of level of friendship. When you go online or you go to Munch's or you go wherever and you meet somebody and you say, let's say you're the sub and you're introduced to a dom and you're like, I like the cut of their jib, and you don't know shit about them. You don't know shit about them. So spend the time getting to know them as friends, because one of two things might probably happen. A few things will probably happen. You might not connect at all and the vibe's off and move on. Right. But you might find a potential partner, relationship, whatever. But if not, you might now have a friend in the lifestyle who can be your friend, be the person you talk to when you go to the Munch, introduce you to other people, help you find that, like, all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of where we're coming from.
Kayla and I, when we met, we met online through our mutual blogs. We both knew we were kinky, but we became friends. And I'm a firm believer in that. While yes, your kinks are important because they're a part of who you are, your kinks are just a portion of that. And you're looking for a relationship, you want somebody that you can be kinky with, but outside of the kink that you can also stand to be around. Somebody that you actually like, that has... nobody's likes match up 100%. There are things I do that I do without Kayla. There are things she does that she does without me because I have no interest in it. But, we're friends. And I think that's something you need to understand. There has to be that friendship, and how do you relate to one another outside of the kink? So
yeah, because you're having to establish trust. This is not like I'll date you and go on a couple of dinners and maybe I'll call you my boyfriend, girlfriend, maybe we'll fuck. This is, I'm going to decide if I like you, and depending on which side of the slash you're on, I'm going to give up some level of control to you, or I'm going to take responsibility for some part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
While I think all relationships would do well with some base level of trust, respect, understanding, blah, 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 friendship, blah, 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 blah. I just believe that in general. When we're trying to establish a power exchange, I don't know how you get from hi, my name is to dominate me daddy without that middle ground. Now, that middle ground doesn't have to be super intensive, and you don't have to be weird like me and take months and months and months. Like, it can maybe take you a few conversations. Maybe the vibe is right away.
Yeah.
But especially in kink, when predators use the language of our community to harm people. There are people who use the language just to get their fucking rocks off. They're like, I'll call myself a dom. I'll say 5 words that are right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do like the base level of work to go, is this a person who claims to be who they say they are and that I really want to spend time with, and I want to get to, to connect with in a way that's not just kink, because in power exchange, no matter how much kink you build in, there will be a lot of down non-kink time. Do you genuinely like them, right? Like, this is different if you're looking just for hookups. This is different if you're looking for one-off play sessions. There's still a lot of investigation and vibe, and they need to, there's got to be the right thing, but you don't always have to, go that deep with something like that. You still need to vet them. You still need to, make sure they're legitimately who they say they are, and they're safe, and they're going to do what's right. But when we're talking about establishing this relationship, yeah. You can go on FetLife to date, but I have not seen a lot of people have success with, I'm open to dating, and the first person who messaged me, we had half a conversation, and now they're my dom. It almost never works out. If it's worked for you, you're the exception. I promise you. It does not work. It just doesn't. There's too much bullshit out there. So yeah, if you seek friendship first, or just seek understanding with one another and then build from that, I think you get a better outcome. So I saw something else come through, but I'll make sure I'm not missing anything first.
Yeah, I'm looking at...
I know you are. So I'm scrolling back through. Okay, here we go. And Silent Wing says interconnectedness now gets to be a word. Thank you. It's one of those nights where my brain is working at a different speed and function than my mouth, and I don't know. We're having improv conversations. That's what we're having. Let's see. It just bumped. I'm trying to just look real quick. Okay, Yessie asks, what would y'all suggest for a established couple 10 plus years that want to start transitioning from vanilla to kink? One, we have done episodes and stuff like that on our website, lovingbdsm.net. I think if you just type in the word transition, a bunch of stuff will come up. Or if you do the word vanilla, a bunch of stuff will come up. But our top advice is always to slow the fuck down and go super slow. Take
your time. And also, one of the biggest things, especially if this is something new to both of you, you're going to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. You're going to make mistakes, and that is okay. Mistakes happen. You learn from your mistakes, and you regroup and move forward.
I would say this. You should, if you have not already, you're going to do a lot of fucking talking about it before you ever do anything. So if you're in an established relationship and it's vanilla to kink, and part of your kink is probably some kinky sex stuff, that's actually a really common and almost not easy, I hate to say easy, but easier way to start if you haven't already. What can we do when we're naked and we're horny and it's sexy, and let's add a little bit of kink stuff. Do we still recommend learning some basics and risk awareness and safety things if you're tying somebody up or you're hitting somebody with something? Yeah. When you talk about the power exchange part, though, that's where, in some ways, it's a lot more complicated, because you're talking about potentially, depending on how your relationship has been, relating to one another in a different way. Sometimes, for some couples, it's a dramatically different way, and for some couples, it's actually not that different because they were already doing it. They just didn't have the language for it, and it wasn't negotiated, so there weren't clear boundaries. So before you do power exchange as a relationship, you got to spend a lot of time talking about it, learning about it, figuring out what you want in your ideal world, perfect world scenario. What would this look like? And that may not be a goal you ever attain, or you'll get into it and realize that was the wrong goal and you'll have to like adjust it. But you got to start with a vision in mind of what are we trying to get to? What do we want to do ideally if we can make it work? And then you sort of reverse engineer to go, okay, well, that's what we think it will look like. Where do we start? And when it comes to power exchange, after you've talked about what you think you do want, what you think you don't want, we love BDSM checklists for that. You can get a bunch of them online. Just type in BDSM checklist. If you subscribe to our email newsletter, we have one that we send out. That's one as well. So you can get that. And that gives you a starting point of realizing what you know about and what you don't know about, what you think you want to try and what you don't think you want to try. And once you kind of have that information, then you can start to pick one or two things. But after you've talked and after you've gone, I like this, I don't like that, I'm interested in this, I'm not interested in that, blah, blah, blah. And remembering you can change your mind at any point.
Right.
Then you go, okay, what do we think we want this to look like ultimately? Okay, what can we start with? And whatever your vision is, you pick one thing. Like, I would really like, I'm the sub, I would really like you to help me set a rule for me so that I eat healthier. We tried that. We fail every fucking time, but we tried that one. Okay, that might be the first thing. Or I want you to tell me what to do about this thing I'm having a problem with. That's really common for people who are submissives. They're like, how can the dom take control? Can you help me with this thing that I keep trying to achieve? I could really use some outside accountability. That's fairly common in my experience. But you pick a thing and you start with that one thing and you try it. And while you're trying it, you set parameters, you set rules, you set expectations. You do the thing, you do it imperfectly, you talk about it, you give in real time feedback. This is working, this isn't working. You adjust it and tweak it. You get kind of comfortable with that, and then you add something else. And the more you start to adjust and tweak what you're adding, the faster you can kind of add things. It becomes kind of a
because you
loop,
get
a rolling thing.
You get a flow.
To give a flow, and so then it speeds up. You start really slow, and then you start to add things, and it goes a little faster.
And one thing her and I did in the beginning was we had check-ins at specific intervals, especially after we moved in together. Long distance, has its own set of problems and advantages. And then when we moved in together, that changed the book on us. So we had to readjust. And one of the things that we did was every couple weeks, her and I, on a Friday night, we would go out for coffee and we would talk about things, how are you about this? How, has this been going okay? I noticed you've been having some trouble with this. What's going on there? And you have to be fluid and you adjust and you recalibrate, renegotiate and go from there.
Two things I would recommend as resources to actively help you. One, if talking about what you want in a way that helps you feel heard and hearing your partner and like learning how to listen to them, if those are things you struggle with, we highly recommend the book Tongue Tied by Stella Harris. There's only like one chapter on kink. I don't care. That whole fucking book. You might have to replace the word and the example for sex with tie me up or domination in your mind, do that translation, but the book itself is extremely helpful. I consider us really good communicators, and I've read it now 2 or 3 times, and I'm
still taking something away from it.
Reminded of something every time. So that is like our absolute top recommendation for communicating about your wants and needs, because that is a skill of its own. And if you haven't been good at it, here's the thing. If your vanilla relationship has struggled with the communication, that will then be amplified under power exchange. You have to learn how to do it, and it is a skill. That is a resource. If trying to wrap your arms and mind around the entire concept of power exchange is feels overwhelming, I don't blame you, because you're like, well, where the fuck do we start? Part of the communication can be in figuring out what these things mean to you. We have a thing called 30 Days of DS that I put together. It's getting updated this year, but not the questions, but the resources I linked in there, because I've created more resources. But that is available on our website. There's 2 ways to get it. You can do it for free. You don't have to spend anything. You just put your email address in, and then you get a prompt a day for 30 days. Or if you're like, fuck that, you can buy the workbook version for $5, and you have it all. But they're meant to be for couples, they're meant to be conversation starters. They're meant to be, hey, here's this concept in Power Exchange in DS. Here's, what do you think about this? And then you can have those conversations and start to figure out what you individually and together think about it as you start putting together your Power Exchange. So the 30 Days of DS thing is on our website as well, lovingbdsm.net. Link to the website is in the description box. And on that website, we have a resources page, and a link to Tongue Tied by Stella Harris is on our resources page.
Yeah.
You could type in Tongue Tied in our search bar on our site, and it'll probably come up because we've read it and reviewed it a couple times and all kinds of stuff. We reference it all the time. So for transitioning, those are 2 tools I would recommend to help you do that. And then sign up for our newsletter and get that checklist. And then you've got it's 7 pages, I think. And it's a ton of activities. No checklist is ever 100% complete because there's so much shit you can do in BDSM. But I feel like ours is pretty comprehensive.
Yep.
Okay. So, Merritt asks, how much do your kids know about your relationship and how do you blend the 2 worlds around them? We have done conversations about this in our archive, lovingbdsm.net. Search either parent or kid. Both those words, stuff will come up. But quick and dirty, we do not talk to them about our Power Exchange, but they know we're not like other parents. I do not call JB daddy in front of them. They are not his bio kids, so they don't call him dad either. They call him Mr. John, and I fucking love that because I use it like a title. I'm like, Mr. John. If I think a kid can hear me, he's Mr. John. And that works for us. We also practice a lot of very subtle Power Exchange, meaning that the things I do as a submissive have meaning to us, but they don't look like anything to anybody else. We do that just in general. Our Power Exchange tends to fly under the radar. So the kids know I make his coffee. They know he tells me when it's time to go to bed, but they have never asked why. And my philosophy on that, even at their ages now, 16 and 12, the answer even now to them is because it makes me happy to do that for him. And that's a valid answer. It's a correct answer. It's an accurate answer. As for what we do here, like sitting in front of the camera and like talking about kink, they kind of know. And sometimes they wish they didn't know what little bit they think they know. And sometimes they're like, I'm kind of glad you've taught, because we have raised them to be, or trying to raise them to be, sex positive, kink friendly. Yeah. In age appropriate ways. Like, we don't talk about kink with our kids, but we talk about you don't yuck on somebody's yum. And the kids have known from fairly early ages that people can be into whatever they're into, and that's okay as long as there's consent. And we talk about those concepts. The oldest is kind of his peer group sex educator. Like, no, really, you need to wear a fucking condom. And no, really, that was sex. Like those basic things that teenagers get wrong because nobody's teaching them and they're going to porn to learn something. And he got that from me. And so sometimes he'll come to me with I've heard about this thing and I kind of want you to tell me, but I kind of wish it wasn't you telling me. Like when I explained DDLG to my 16-year-old a few weeks ago. And
you didn't even tell me about that one.
Yeah. And every time he realizes I'm explaining a thing to him that I clearly have personal knowledge of. He's like, I don't want to know what you're into. And I go, I don't want to tell you what I'm into. That's not what we're talking about here. And I've managed to find, to this day, age-appropriate ways to explain it. But I will tell you, as open as I am and as important as I feel like it is to raise them with, one, knowing that they can ask questions, and two, with certain knowledge, it's still uncomfortable, especially when you know it's your kink. It's still uncomfortable. But it's important because I want him to go out into the world and not be an asshole. So I'm going to make sure he's not a kink-shamey asshole while I'm at it. But we have probably relaxed since we moved into this house and they got a little older. Like, they come in and they'll see a paddle on a shelf. They might see a sex toy in a box. Like, whatever, it is what it is. Shit, I buy the 16-year-olds condoms. Like, now he's got a job. I was like, look, I'll send you the link of the ones I get you. If you would like to continue to purchase those. and then I had to also say, but if you ever run out of money and you run out of condoms, you come let me know, because you will not go without condoms. I don't care how broke you are. Do not let that be an excuse not to use a condom. The early days, we didn't let them see our screens. We only recorded at night. We bought this house because of the space this office we're in right now, because we can close the door. And they can still hear stuff, but I think they've also perfected the art of pretending that they don't hear.
They're, when they are home, like tonight, they are, the oldest, he's the social butterfly. He's in his room chatting with his friends or his girlfriend. The youngest has discovered video games, so he's involved with those. So, they kind of keep to themselves at that point.
Yeah, I mean, kids always know more than we want to think that they do.
True. True.
The kids, I think, have decided independently of one another, but probably also mutually, that they just would rather pretend they didn't know. And because, like most kids, they're like, I don't want to think about my parents having a sex life and having any kind of relationship. Aren't they supposed to be like potted plants, and like reproduce on their own? I don't want to tell them about pollen and pollination, but you know what I mean? Like, that was a bad metaphor, but you know what I mean? Like, they do not want to think of us in that way. And so when they're confronted with having to think about us that way, they don't love it, but they also know they can ask anything. They don't always, but they can. But also, case in point, where I will tell the kids anything because I think they need to be educated. I am now a human being who can never have another period again, and have not had a period since the youngest was born, because my IUD made that go away for his entire life up until the recent surgery. And I still try to find ways, it's not as often as it should be, to explain periods to them, because nobody in this house can physically have one or has had one in their knowledge. And if they don't know, they're going to come across people who've had periods, and they're going to ask dumbass questions. So I try and educate them. And case in point, this evening, I was explaining, pardon this, it'll be gross, period poops. And if you know, you know. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But if you know, you know. And they were both horrified, and I think a little like, I can't believe our mom is talking about this thing with us, but also what? And so then the oldest sent, because most of his friends are girls, he sent the group text, the group chat, a text of period poop. I need to know, real or fake. And I was like, if they're willing to tell you, they're going to tell you, and you're going to think I'm not a liar. I'm just telling you. If you know, you know. So just trying to make sure the next generation's not a bunch of assholes. That's all I'm doing. Little Cat Jam said, do I remember when Bag for Jay? I don't recognize that name. Caused a big fiasco in the community where he's caught lying and ended up injuring people in the community. I actually tend not to pay attention to most of the stuff that comes through on a wider level. I think I remember somebody of the name of Jay and there being a big kind of kerfuffle, and I think I saw screenshots from Facebook is how I learned about it. I'd stay out of a lot of that. If it's not somebody I know personally or am connected to in some way that I've had personal dealings with, I usually don't know about it. I am never surprised, I might be saddened, but I'm never surprised when that kind of stuff comes out, because the kink community is people, and we are just a cross section of humanity. And if any other part of the world and part of life can have these kinds of situations, then we can too. And sometimes, sadly, people are given authority and power and responsibility that they don't always deserve. And I don't have any answers as to what to do about it, other than you call it out when you see it, and you hope that they'll learn and do better, and they'll learn and do better somewhere else, so you don't have to deal with them.
That name did not ring a bell with me at all.
I a couple of times when I used to spend more time on social media, I saw a few things a few times, and I was like, it was like in one case, there was one thing I saw, it was a well-known rigger that had been not a good person. And then in another case, it was like a well-known kink educator, not well-known to me. I didn't know who they were, but that don't mean shit. I'm one of those introverts who really don't know anybody. I know my 5 people, and that's it. And, you know, it's people taking sides, people wanting to believe their friend over victims. Like, it's complicated.
Yeah,
and
it
I'm
is.
grateful that, to my knowledge, nobody that I've worked closely with has been caught up in any of that. My stance on stuff is my instinct will always be to trust victims first. Like, when a victim tells their story, that's their story. And then I wait to see how a person responds. But I also know that a person's public response and first response is not usually their best one. And it's what they do later. But also, I think trust is easy to lose and hard to win. And if you fuck up so big, you lose a portion of your community's trust, you know, you're going to have to work fucking hard to get it back. So it's tough.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm scrolling. I think I saw. Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, it just jumped again. Okay, there we go. Christy asked, what are some things that you did or felt while very young that in hindsight you realized are on the kinky spectrum?
For me, it was Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh?
Yeah. In the cartoons, when the villain was tying up the heroine, you know, I didn't like the villain because they were mean.
Sure.
But watching them tie them up, I was like, ooh.
So this is both an age-appropriate response and not an age-appropriate response. When I was 8 years old, I was told I was not allowed to read my mom's romance novels. Those were the old-fashioned bodice rippers. I was too young to read them. There was plenty of innuendo. I didn't know what a creamy loin was for a very long time and was very confused when my father would make pork loin for dinner.
One that's cooked in a crock pot.
I know, like
mushroom sauce.
I know. So, I still to this day, I don't consider romance novels guilty pleasures or pleasures. I love those kinds of books, even when you're like, wait, you kidnapped the girl and now she's in love with you. I fucking love that shit. I loved it then. It was the power imbalance. It was my darker fantasies that will never get acted out because hell fuck no, are very consensual, non-consent. They're like kidnap fantasies and like not good stuff. Like I would, and also I don't want to play with any of that. I think I would traumatize myself. But I'm happy to fantasize about it, and I'm happy to read books that I would never want anybody to act out in real life. And that started at a very young age when I was sneaking to read my mom's romance novels. And I don't know, I've never asked her. I should ask her if I got away with it. Because what would happen is I could only do it on the weekends that my mom might have had a weekend off, and she didn't get a lot of weekends off. And if she did, it was usually a Sunday. And my dad was a really light sleeper and didn't always stay asleep in their bed. Sometimes he would sleep like in the living room, but her book was in the living room. So I would have like a 30 to 45 minute window one day, maybe a week, but sometimes every other week to go read as fast as I could and be very confused by creamy loins, by the way. Read, and then put it back down in the exact spot and she... Look, I hate to offend the book folk out there, but we are spine crackers, and we also put the book face open but face down, and we also dog ear books. Okay, our books are very lived in, unless they're very special to us, and then whatever. And so like she would either have it like open and cracked and down face down, or she'd have it dog eared, and I have to put it exact, and I have to remember where her spot was and get the exact right dog ear, because if she had been spending time reading a book over a series of days, there would be multiple dog ears, and I don't think I ever got caught, because if I got caught, my dad would have blown his fucking top. Like, he had some really sex negative beliefs about what his daughter should and should not know or be exposed to. But also, I don't think I would have handed my 8-year-old a book with a bunch of sex in it either. Like, I get it, but also, but to this day, power imbalance, not talked about, not negotiated. Like, I understand why it's not good, and please don't live your life like it's a romance novel. But still, oh yeah, my favorite. Yeah. X, I'm so glad you came back for period poops. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, let's see. Scrolling. I do use bookmarks now. I try to use bookmarks now more than anything. But yeah. Dog ear. Oh, and I love, if it's my book, I won't do it to library book, but if it's my book, it's paperback, I will absolutely open it and bend it all the way back because then it lays flatter better. Crack the goddamn spine. I need it to lay open when I'm trying to read it. I don't need to use like all my hand strength just to keep the fucking book open.
You cruel person.
No, I like a well-lived in, used book.
No, you take care of them. You gently flip those pages. No.
JB is gentler sounding than I am, but if I'm like, yeah, no. Now, I try to be gentle with a book. My mom gifted me a book she bought, The Love Letters of W.E.B. Is it Du Bois? I'm not sure how to say that person's last name, and I feel awful because they're like a famous literary figure, but and historical figure. Anyway, and it had the dust jacket cover on as a hardback, and I hate those fucking things. They get in my way, but two, I don't want them to rip or get dirty. So I was reading this hardback, which I very rarely have hardback books. They're usually paperbacks. I carefully put the dust jacket somewhere else to keep it safe. And then when I finished reading the book, I put the dust jacket back on, and it sits up on our shelf. And I did use a bookmark for that whole book. I did not dog ear a single page in that book. And I no longer dog ear library books, but I used to. You should never
ever dog ear a book.
What is wrong with dog ear? I see, we're house divided. We're house divided.
No. We're going to work on that.
So I mean, it takes like energy to hold it. I just need to lay flat. Sometimes I have a pillow propped up and I need it to just lay there and I need to give my arm a break and I just need it to lay flat.
We need some new protocols in this house.
Oh no, we just need to divide in your books versus mine.
Well, you will never touch one of my books.
No, our kittens grin mischievously when they hear the crack sound, X. I mean, maybe I just got sadists for cats. I don't know. I've used candy wrappers too, Chrissy. I've used receipts, candy wrappers. I've used the dust jacket from another book I was reading. From the book I was reading. I'd taken it off because I fucking hate them, and then I just sliced it. Oh my gosh. And Mr. Spock, you know what's funny? I love a pretty bookmark. I have a bookmark that I was sent, and I feel awful because I can't remember who sent it to me. But I got it in the mail from a lovely person in our community and audience, and it's a mermaid one, and I use that one all the time. And then I got a couple of funny ones from the library, and we use those. Those are looking raggedy, and we use those all the time. I have gotten better about bookmarks. I really do like a bookmark, but if I can't find a bookmark, we're either going open and down, or we dog earing. Just saying. So Andre asks, has anybody noticed a trend of younger people identifying with alternate pronouns? In my daughter's class, half the class is suddenly using they, them, and wanting to be called by new names. So I don't like the word trend. What I see this as is we're in a space and time when people know that this is a thing and that they can explore what gender means to them and what feels right to them. Because people not fitting the binary and using different pronouns have always existed. There just wasn't a way for that to be known by the wider world. And now that people are openly talking about figuring themselves out and what that might mean to them, even if they change their mind later or learn something new about themselves later and it adjusts what they want to be, the pronouns they want to use or how they want to be called or how they identify or whatever, it's an opportunity for exploration and getting in touch with who they really are. Not unlike, for many of us, figuring out our kink self. So in our family, the oldest has said to me many times, I'm fine if somebody uses he, him pronouns for me, but I don't feel like a guy. I don't know what I am. I don't know how I feel, but, And then I said something, he was doing something or saying something or wearing something. I don't know. And I used the word pretty for him, and he just lit up. He loved it. It actually feels weird to refer to him as he when he has said, one, I don't care what pronouns you use, but two, I don't always feel like a guy. And so I'm trying to, it's been hard because when you call somebody something for their whole lifetime, it takes a minute to adjust. Like, I try not to say that we have men in this house anymore. I try to we were talking about something today, and I corrected myself, and I was like, biologically male, and I actually saw him smile, like sort of an acknowledgement. I think it's the openness of it all, to be able to have the freedom to know that you can. Like, how many things did we think that we weren't allowed to do? Kinky sex, kinky relationships, because the wider society was not telling us that we could. There was no example that we could. And then when we decided to explore our kink selves, it felt right. That's who we are. I think this is a bit of that. I know our 12-year-old middle school, I know people don't want to think middle schoolers and 11 and 12 and 13-year-olds are talking and thinking about sex, but fuck that. Yeah, they are. And there's a lot of conversations in the 12-year-olds, friend group, of what their sexuality is. Like, is that what they're gonna say it is when they're 25? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But they have the freedom to think about that and to talk about that openly with, hopefully with friends who are like open-minded about it, and to explore and to figure themselves out. And it's unusual just because it's not what we were raised with. And it is an adjustment if you have a kid who's like, please call me something else. Like, this is who I am. But it's just what normalization does. When you get to see an option represented to you that you did not know was an option, you then get the freedom to explore for yourself. Is that option right for me? Is there an option out there that's not what society has presented to me? So, yeah. Yeah, I had a friend many years ago, one of my closest friends. She died just a few years ago. A few years before that, she was the one friend I had. We never agreed on any part of politics, but we could actually talk about it without it becoming a fight. I'm kind of glad I didn't have to navigate that in the time of Trump. I don't know what would have happened, but she once said to me, it feels like everybody's getting abortions now. And I'm like, no, people are just talking about it more because they have the space to do that. It's, it's not that everybody wants an abortion. It's that we have the ability to talk about it in a way that 20, 30, 40 years ago did not exist. And I think anytime we see changes, I've heard people say, I remember in the 90s hearing people go, why, it seems like everybody's gay now. And I was like, no, they were always here. They just they weren't safe. They didn't feel safe enough to say anything, right? They didn't see themselves represented. They didn't even have language for it sometimes. Like, if you live in really repressed areas that are like, you don't even know what to call yourself, right? Like, it's that, I think, on just a wider scale. And it's, I don't know. That's, yeah. That. Toilet paper bookmarks. I've never done that. I will say that I've never done that. Yeah, acceptance is a good word, X. That's what it is. So I saw it come up in my feed, Hannah's video about not learning your baby's gender. I have not watched it yet, but I did see it come up in my feed. In terms of figuring out, I watched something and I don't remember what it was. It's been months ago. And it was somebody talking about, maybe it was a podcast. It was something. Somebody was talking about identity and how, at one point in their life, they considered themselves non-binary. And then a few years later, they considered themselves something else. And then they kind of went back and forth and trying to figure out their identity. And I think the interviewer was like, how did people respond to that? How did you feel about that? And, they talked about worrying that people would think that they had been fake or they had been wrong because they changed their minds, but they were just figuring themselves out. And it took a while because you also have to peel back societal layers. Like, what has society taught you? What have your parents taught you? What's your religion taught you? Whatever. And, you know, and I've also heard several people say that what they wish everybody would do, and this was, I think, a trans person, they said they wished everybody would think about their gender, their, whatever their gender is, and the same would be true about their sexuality. At the end of that thought exercise, you might still be cis and you might still be straight or whatever, but at least you would have done the work to actively think about it in a way that, especially if you're cis and straight, you like never have to think about. We are the norm. This is what society points back at us as this is what is normal. And so we never have to grapple with what it means and decide for ourselves and make the conscious decision that we know who we are and why we are the way we are, in the way that other people do when they're figuring out their identities. But I just relate it back to kink identities. How much struggle do many of us have to go, I'm dominant, I'm submissive, I'm a switch, I'm a sadist. Jesus, figuring out you're a sadist, how do you not think you might be a little bit evil first before you find acceptance for it?
Yep.
It's not the same and it is the same. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a progression.
And it is a progression. Kink identities, when I first, I was submissive. That was it. And then I slowly progressed into, actually, I'm a little bit more layered and here's some parts of me. And that's not on a level that I have to worry about somebody taking away my human rights over, or telling me I can't use a bathroom, or telling me I'm not a real person. Like, I don't have that threat to figure out that part of my identity. We got into a conversation with a family member, and they were talking about a trans athlete who there was a lot of controversy because once they started transitioning and the school allowed them to compete on the team for the gender they identify with, there was a lot of controversy about it. And I had to explain to that family member, I said, I promise you, nobody goes through the transition of their gender for a goddamn medal. There's too much danger to it. There's too much pressure. There's too much hate. There's too much awfulness, even though there's good in it in being who you really are. There's too much outside shit. Nobody's going through that because it's just a fucking trend. Nobody's going through that to get their name on something. Like, that's not happening. That was a fun conversation.
I mean, you could even kind of compare it to, poly has become more of a thing.
Yeah.
Over the years.
Yeah. Who was it that... There have been a couple of famous-ish and famous people who are going, yeah, I'm poly, I'm in non-monogamous, I'm in open relationships, yeah.
But, I've had numerous people ask me, if you're into BDSM, do you have to be non-monogamous? It seems like everybody, and it's not. It's the same kind of thing. It's just that people are becoming more open about it now
and more aware about it.
Yeah.
So labels matter because language matters, because identifiers matter, because community matters, because the quote norm of society, cis and straight, doesn't need a label. And then without labels, people assume we're all homogenous, and we're not. So we use labels in kink, we use labels in sex, we use labels in gender, we use labels for everything has a label. Now, what you do on a personal, individual level to figure out how you personally want to work and use and live with labels for yourself, completely personal decision. But language matters, and how we talk about and identify groups matters, especially when, as a society, as human beings, we tend to other a label that doesn't fit with us, or an identity that doesn't fit with us. We go us versus them, and that's in every single facet of life.
Yeah.
So if you are the them and mainstream culture has completely ignored you, acts like you don't exist, your labels become much more important, because how the fuck do you find other people? You think you're completely alone, and you're not.
Here's the thing with labels. I'm at a point in my life where labels are less important. But when I first came into kink and I did not understand any of this wonderful lifestyle because it was so new to me, labels helped me find a starting point. Okay? Without labels, I probably would have floundered
Sure.
a lot more, but the labels gave me a baseline to start. And, you know, I got to a point where those labels started to become confining.
Absolutely.
Because I'm more than this label.
Right.
I'm
Absolutely.
more than this thing. And that's when I began to discover, you know, as we talk about everything being on a spectrum, it's not just this, it's not just that. It can be any of this, it can be none of that, it can be a little of this, or, you know, a lot of that. And the label itself, yeah, I mean, now I'm at, like I say, I'm at a point where it's not as important anymore. But especially for people coming into the world, it gives them a baseline. It gives them something to start. It gives them an understanding.
It creates a common language so we even know what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny because I absolutely advocate for taking a label in whatever community you're in, BDSM in this case, and making that label fit you, not you fitting that label, right? But that doesn't mean that there's not a common understanding kind of what a word means, right? And the fact of the matter is that labels, if all we have, let's use, since we were talking about gender, if all we have is he and her, and you're a person going, none of that feels right to me. None of what society is telling me these things mean feel right to me. There's nothing wrong with there being a third option or 50 options because of the reality of what you just said. Everything's a fucking spectrum. There's no such thing as a specific type of guy or a specific type of girl. There's no such thing as a specific type of human. The things we learned in 6th grade biology about chromosomes isn't even accurate. It's extremely simplified. And yet we're basing policy on 6th grade biology, but that's, you know, a whole other story. And when, again, I go back to when you're on the out group, and you're on the outside and you know that what is being fed to you as what you're supposed to do or the expectations or what society is saying is the standard does not fit you, how else do you find people who you can relate to? And when you can't find people you can relate to and you think you are alone, that just breeds nothing but shame. That breeds nothing but self-hatred for people, because you're like, the entire world is telling me I'm supposed to be something I cannot be, but nobody is giving me language or a way or an there's nothing out there that shows that this, what I am, whatever I am, because you probably don't even have words for it yet when you're at that point, that this is not right. And all I know is that I'm wrong. You're not wrong. You're just a different label. You're just a different word. You're just a different identity. And so by these things becoming more normalized, where we're talking about them and they're becoming more mainstream, then people get to go, wait, I might not identify specifically down to every detail, but I get that, and I feel seen, and I am no longer in the shadows, and I am not alone. Like, the out groups of mainstream anything tend to have higher rates of suicide, higher rates of violence, and when the mainstream, so like what we're watching in our kids, in our own kids, in our society, talking about trans people and talking about non-binary and talking about the gender spectrum is very reminiscent to me of what I grew up in my formative teen years talking about gay people. Like, not that gay people don't still go through some shit. Like, I'm not even going to try and say that they and y'all don't. But it's a lot of similar conversations. And it was, the conversation is, why won't they just go away? Why does it matter? Why do we have to label these things? And what tends to happen is when whatever is mainstream or not the out group gets faced with, wait, there's other labels, there's other people, there's other identities that are outside of the mainstream. I say we because I'm part of the mainstream, but people tend to think they see it all the time and it's too much. And that is a consistent backlash to anything that was hidden and ignored, and people had to acted like it didn't exist or they didn't know it existed, and now they're being asked to acknowledge a type of person's existence. There is always pushback to that. And I feel like as kinksters, who some of us could still lose our jobs, we could still be like divorced, we could still have our lives turned upside down for our identities. I feel like, and we spend so much time trying to figure out our kink identities, that we should be like, you don't have to accept everything you see, but I feel like there should be a lot more compassion. There should be a lot more understanding. The people are out there just trying to figure out themselves no different than the way that you're trying to figure yourself out as a kinkster, the way I'm trying to figure myself out as a kinkster. The difference is currently, at least, nobody's trying to legislate our ability to like exist in public, right? Nobody's telling us that we are just trending because we happen to be you know what? I can give you the perfect example. All the kinksters who started coming into the lifestyle when 50 Shades came out, a lot of fucking people then, and still to this day, said, well, they're only here because of 50 Shades. It's a trend. It's not real. Who are you to decide that? You don't get to decide that. So now we're finally seeing non-binary people and trans people and just people who are not in any binary in more public spaces and in more public roles. I think figure skating now has their first non-binary athlete. I thought I saw that in a headline. One of the Winter Olympic sports does anyway. Then there's pushback to that. And then it's a trend. It's not a trend. It's people having the freedom to figure out who they are. Yeah. And they might change their mind, or they might become more nuanced, or they might learn about themselves in a different way than they thought at this stage of their life. And that is also okay and valid. Like, yeah. I'm trying not to go into a rant for anybody, because I get it. Like it can seem confusing. It can seem like this came out of nowhere. It didn't come out of nowhere. It did not come out of nowhere. Yeah. So, yeah. Davey, that's the thing. I can't keep up with all the labels either. And I'm not going to try to. It's not my job. I need to know my labels for myself. And I can't keep up, but I can call anybody what they want. That's it. That's all that matters. Nobody who's out there trying to figure themselves out expects anybody else to understand who they are. They don't understand who they are. That's why they're figuring it out, right? But we can all expect and give respect. I don't have to understand your gender, especially if you don't fucking understand it. But I can use the pronouns that you would prefer. I can refer to you in the way you want to be referred to, because that's no different than me having preferences in the way I'm referred to. Like I said recently, please don't call me Miss or Ms. anything. I'm not anybody's grandma. Just call me Kayla. It will be fine, right? Like, that's not the same as a gender, but that's still I want to be called by a certain way. Can you please do that for me? And people going, yes, I can do that for you. Okay, somebody's like, yeah, don't call me she, don't call me her. That's not right for me. These are my pronouns. And you go, okay, I can do that. And then you're going to fuck up. You're going to mess up and forget, and you correct yourself and try to do better the next time. And that's all that it is. So no, I don't have to understand anybody's identity on anything. I just have to respect however they would like to be referred to. Which it's funny, I say that and I still struggle with my own kid. Not because I don't believe him. I do believe him. It's because in my mind, I've attached these words to him. And thankfully, like, if he comes to me at some point and goes, him's not working for me, I know I will struggle with that. Meaning I will mess up. I will say the wrong word and it will slip out. All right.
Excuse me.
My job, not his, not anybody else's. My job is to correct myself and to try to remember next time. And it means I got to stumble over my words, and it means I got to feel like I don't know what I'm saying for a minute. And that can be hard. That can make you feel foolish, and nobody wants to feel that way, but that's a you problem, not a them problem. And with practice, you get better. And it's no different than anything else we're doing in life. With practice, we get better, and we teach ourselves to do new things all the time, and we change our mind about things all the time, and we can do this. So Mr. Spock, I'm trying to pretend my governor and state legislature don't fucking exist, because we've already got the don't say gay bill in our fucking state. And if you talk about going back 30 fucking years, that's what it feels like. And I asked the oldest, because he's got a couple of teachers. He's got one teacher who is it's an AP class, so it's a real small class. They're pretty outspoken. that teacher is. And I said, what'd that teacher think? And he said, she thought it was bullshit. I went, okay, I like that teacher more and more. Yeah. I really think that a lot of what we learn in kink and about ourselves as kinksters is transferable to every part of life.
Yeah.
If you can learn to accept other people with their fetishes you would never want to experience in your life, you can accept identities that you can't understand. It's that simple. Because we don't have to understand. Ooh, excuse me. Christy, I personally have never heard anything like that, but I also think that what somebody says to somebody in a quick moment is not always indicative of whatever emotional and mental journey they went through to get to that point. So is it possible that somebody was like, who am I and why doesn't any of this fit? And then they see a famous person that they relate to, or some part of their story they relate to, and the way they've explained themselves they relate to. And they go, yeah, I think that's me. That sounds like me to me. But also, I mean, people say shit like that all the time. People say they are away because of a famous person. Sometimes that's a buffer. If I tell you I'm that way because of a famous person, then maybe you won't ask about what's going on internally with me. Maybe I don't have to look at what's going on internally with me. I'm that way because of the famous person, and that feels like a protective measure to create some distance. Like, there's all kinds of reasons people do things. And also, okay, if somebody said to me, I am this because this famous person is that, I go, okay. Because again, I don't have to understand. I don't have to understand it. I don't have to go through the analysis with them. Not my problem, not my job. It doesn't hurt me for them to say that. Like, it doesn't affect me. What does affect the people I care about, which is when I will step in, is when laws get passed or policies get made that infringe on the rights of people who don't fit inside of a very strict construct that we people have created. Like, we keep saying, why are people using labels and why are we fitting each other in boxes? Well, society's already created a big old box, actually a very small box, and most of us don't fit into that box. So we have to create our own box. We have to go find our own place. It's really an umbrella, not a box, but So the box is already there. It's just other people going, I don't like your box. I'll go over here in this box. And that feels weird to those of us who are fine in the box that society created for us. So, yeah. Silent Winged, I will say this. I am learning that the things I used to think I had to care about deeply, I don't care about at all. And the things that I never thought about caring about, I care about very deeply. And the things that I care about now in my 40s are the things I think are worth caring about. And none of it is other people's opinions. I mean, every once in a while I still get thrown off somebody's opinion of like, wait, apparently I still have a little fuck left. Let's pick that fuck and flick it over there. Those still surprise me. But yeah, letting people just be who they say they are in this moment. Okay. Because I promise you, I've met a lot of kinksters like, I'm totally a sub, I'm totally a sub, I'm totally a sub. Actually, upon further reflection and experience, I'm a dom. Am I going to walk around going, everybody who tells me they're a sub isn't really a sub? Nah, I don't have that time and energy to put into that. I'll go, okay, I'll tell you. Okay. It's a freeing feeling to look at somebody and they go this, and I go, okay, that. I'll be over here doing my shit. Doesn't matter to me. It only matters when we start infringing on rights and denying people access and causing real harm. Somebody using they, them pronouns causes nobody fucking harm. Mm-mm. Not at all. Invalidating a person who's like, please, this is how I would like to be referred to. This is who I am. Invalidating somebody for that, that's what causes harm. It's weird. Part of me had to learn how to think about this stuff because I was swimming in the sex writing world, and I'm still swimming in the sex writing world. And once you realize that sex is like not what we think it is, kind of the rest just falls into place, right? Nothing is like we think it is. But then also, once I realized I wanted to raise actual sex positive, kink friendly, kink positive kids,
Yeah.
I had to think about what that really meant. And especially once I realized it was driven home to me once my kids started talking about their own identity.
Yeah.
Because, like, I understood it on an intellectual level from the things I had listened to and the books I had read and the people I had talked to who were not people that I love with the intensity that I love my children. And I was like, okay, I respect that. I'm learning. I've got to keep listening, and I got to, like, figure out how I feel, but okay. And then I was facing it with my own kids, and I'm telling you, that'll put a lot of fucking perspective for you. You know? I want my kids to be happy and healthy, and I don't want to raise little assholes. And you know how you don't raise little assholes? You don't be a little asshole yourself. And so who they are, I love them for who they are. I don't fucking care what their pronouns are. I don't care what their gender is. I don't care what their sexuality is. I don't care. So if I don't care, and I deeply love my children, then I don't have to care for anybody else and can still respect it. And that's how I view it. And I'm still learning. Like, I try to listen to podcasts and read books, and because this is not my experience. I don't know. I'm definitely cis, and I'm mostly straight. And sometimes I'll hear things about different sexualities that makes me question my own. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a really good exercise to do. How do I actually feel about this thing? What is it that I feel and believe? And what is it that probably society told me was correct? And I always wanted to be a good girl from a very young age. So I went, okay, that's who I'll be, because that'll make society happy. Like, unpacking that. And once you start to unpack the shit that society handed you and you just didn't know that you could go no and reject it and put it down. And don't we do that in kink? Don't we?
It's a powerful thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So. Silent. You know what? I feel good for that, because often my fingers and I'm not doing estrogen, but my fingers and toes will be cold, and just it's a swamp up here in the torso. It's a swamp. Somebody named JB thought he was gonna, like, freak me out with cold fingers and put them under my boobs this morning.
Yeah.
And I just went, oh, thank God, keep them right there. Keep them right there. Just he had one hand under a boob, and I went, where's your other hand? I got another boob. It's a sweaty, gross situation under there. Just you. Oh, thank you for your cold hands. So Colby, we go live for our podcast episode every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, but that's a topic. We don't take questions during that time. We actually just talk about a topic. This live stream you see right here, we do once a month, third Friday of every month. If that conflicts with a personal schedule, we'll change it, but usually it's a third Friday of every month. So. You know, Silent Wing, right now, I'm in this wonderful honeymoon stage of my body going, that birth control that we think was wreaking havoc is no longer here. Let's see if we can do a little bit of an equilibrium change. And so I've been less anxious. I've had slightly fewer night sweats and hot flashes. Not they have not gone away, but I've had less stomach problems, which is also helped by the probiotic I'm finally taking, but like less of that. What was something else I had said that was... Oh, my libido is starting to peek her head back out.
Yeah.
So I think right now I'm going through that reset. So if the ovaries decide to do something, they better give me a hot minute. I'm already in this one transition. So, JB is usually a furnace too, but lately, not in our Florida winter. In our Florida winter, JB is, I love you, and I say this with all affection and submission, a big old baby. But once you get cold, you stay cold.
Yeah.
But you also do that thing where you're like, I am freezing. And I'm like, oh, please, Jesus, be freezing, because I'm burning up. And you big spoon me, and it is a furnace on my body. Like, I'm already sweating, and your body heat just like it just blooms and it's like the mushroom cloud of the A-bomb. That is the heat now being created between the two, the combustion of your body heat and my body heat. And I'm like, I'm dying. I'm going to go sleep in the garage. But then if I get cold, I get like, I'll throw the blanket off. I'll be like, I love you so much. Get the fuck away from me. And then I'll be shivering with cold a few minutes later. It's fun times. So.
Yeah, I don't like being cold, even for the Florida winters.
How were you from upstate New York and lived there the first 21 years of your life and are this kind of baby?
Why do you think I'm down here?
Right, but you should still have the core memory of how fucking cold it was up there and be like, okay, yes, it's cold. My body's acclimated to Florida cold. So yes, I feel the cold, but also, you know what it's not? It's not upstate New York. Perspective.
You'll never understand.
Mr. Spock, I might start calling you Mrs. Pock because now that you said Mrs. Pock, I can see it. Like, I've always read your handle as Mr. Spock. Like, that's what I see. But now I also see Mrs. Pock. I need you to know that. What has been seen can never be unseen. Just saying. I'm hot right now, but my blood pressure went up, so I felt that. Oh, and that's the other thing I need to start checking is my blood pressure still high, because when I was reading about some of the potential side effects of any birth control, but the IUD I was on, high blood pressure was one of them, but I have not been checking my blood pressure.
Let's just put it this way. Where we live right now in Ocala, this is as far north as you're going to get me.
I'm okay with that, because when we lived down in Tampa Bay, I was like, are we in the summer? I was like, are we on the goddamn sun? And I know it's worse when you're down in like Miami, and then it's worse if you're like, you fall off of Florida and go like further south. But Tampa Bay was the furthest south I had ever lived. And I've been in the Panhandle for ages where, yeah, it got hot in the summer. But in Clearwater, I was like, we are on the literal sun, clearly. It's only a few hundred miles south from where I'd been living, but I was like, sun, we're on the sun. This is the hottest. And that was when I started leaving the house during the summer. Because when I lived in the Panhandle, in the summer, we were at the beach. Yeah. We were at the beach in the water, frying our skin and potentially getting sun cancer in a few years. Like, but we were also in the water and we were happy. No. I still talk about, y'all, I'm a story repeater. I've only got like 8 stories. I just recycle them. Furthest north I've ever been is Baltimore. And somebody tried to tell me that was the South, and I just cackled. I was like, I don't know about the Civil War. Like, I don't remember that history, so maybe, but no, you're not the South. I'm sorry, Baltimore, Maryland, you're not the South. I don't know what you are, but it's not the South. And that was the first time I'd ever gotten actually snowed on. I mean, it was like a light sprinkle of snow. It melted on my jacket the moment it touched. It didn't stick on the ground, but that was the first time I saw snow falling and got snowed on, and was with my boss who was from like Delaware and was used to this shit. And I'm like, oh, look, it's snow. And she's like, let's get our ass inside. It's cold out here. You're about to be wet.
I mean, growing up in upstate New York, we had things like thermal socks, thermal underwear, down jackets. You know,
I've heard of these things. Yeah. I'm happy with living in Florida.
They're real.
I'm happy with living in Florida. I'm a Florida girl for a reason. I'm not built for actual winter. Yeah. Don't want to be built for actual winter. I've got the insulation, you would think, and now I've got the perimenopause. I probably wouldn't be almost okay in a little bit of real winter, but I don't want to be. I want perpetual spring and fall, low humidity. Yeah. Medium temperatures. Like, that's what I want. And we only get 2 or 3 weeks of actual winter here. We'll probably get another cold snap at some point in the next couple weeks because that's typical for us. But our coldest part is basically over. And the most I had to do was put on 2 layers of, 2 layers. So I wear hoodies like shirts a lot of the time. So like I actually wore a sports bra, cover the nipples. And then I put either a t-shirt or a camisole on. And then I put the hoodie on. And I put fuzzy socks on with my long pants. And was I chilled? Did I need some like hot coffee or some hot cocoa? Yeah. But that was it. That's all I had to do. And if I found a sunspot in the backyard, I'd have warmed right up, could have sunned myself like a fucking lizard. That's the fucking life, y'all. I'm not here for snow. I'm not here for 85 layers. All I can think when I see like videos and stuff of people like dealing with the snow and they're like bundled up and they're going out and they're coming in, I'm like, oh my God, their floors must be hellacious in the winter because you track in all this.
Yeah, mud rooms.
But the mud room would be hellacious. I could never go in there because I'd be like, this is so dirty, but also I'm not going to clean it because I'm that kind of person. No, thank you. I'll take my Florida. South.
And the reason they're called mud rooms is because then
they're muddy.
There comes a point when all that snow and ice melts and everything turns to mud.
I would not mind visiting a place where, yes, I would experience snow and have to bundle up, but knowing I could leave and go home to warmer climes. Like I'm not interested in visiting a cold place during a cold time. Like if I go to Canada, I would like to go during y'all's summer, which I will probably still need my hoodie for because you're just further north, right? Like that, I'm okay with that. But no, I'm not about that life. That is, no. South Mississippi was as far north as, and I did live in Montgomery, Alabama for college. And that was cold to me both of those times. When I lived in the panhandle of Florida, colloquially and touristy known as the Emerald Coast, and it is beautiful, and it's got its issues, but it is beautiful. We would get our 3 weeks of winter, but our 3 weeks of winter, I could actually justify wearing a scarf and mittens. Now, that was still not that big of a deal, but no, I'm good. But I don't want to go any further south is my point. I don't want to go closer to the sun. Thanks. We're close enough to the sun. See, yeah, Kim, Northern California, you drive to winter for the weekends. I could see that. Yeah. I'd only want to do it for the 1 week and say, oh, I had that experience. Go my ass back home.
Is that's where you drive to the mountains to have snow and then you go home to the warm weather?
No, I complain, especially in this office in the summer. Yes, this office is the hottest room.
This room does get
all
warm.
These fucking windows and all that afternoon sunshine. And is it hard to work in the summer in this office? I'll probably need to readjust my schedule because I don't see how I'm going to have any brain power in the afternoon once summer hits this year. So fucking hot in here. But that's a small price to pay to have extremely mild winters, great spring and fall, and, I'm a Florida girl. So, yeah, and I know how klutzy I am. I would be busting my ass on snow and ice every goddamn day. Every fucking day. All the goddamn time. No. Actually, the thing I like about this room, it's the hottest in the summer, but it is the coldest in the winter. And then I'm like putting on my fuzzies. It's such a contrast, one, to the rest of the house, and sometimes to outside, that I'll be bundled up in here in my hoodie with my hood up, and my fuzzy socks on, and my sweatpants, and maybe a hot drink, rare, but maybe, and I'll actually walk outside and be like, holy fucking shit, it's hot, let me take off some of these layers. So. We have central air.
We have central air.
But this room...
This particular room... Just, it's not well insulated.
It used to be an exterior part of the house.
Right.
So.
And is that you?
Yeah, I think so. I get lots of favorites on Etsy. Hopefully some of those favorites will turn into sales. Yes, I have an Etsy shop.
And, Yeah, the room's not well insulated. There's only one AC vent that comes into here. So while the rest of the house stays very comfortable.
Yeah, you don't even have to bump the air super low or anything.
No.
It's very comfortable in the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, our electric bill, as a contrast with what a good, well-functioning AC can do and good insulation, we had the apartment in Clearwater.
Oh, God.
It was way smaller than this. In the summer, our electric bill would hit $350 because the AC was trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Here in this house, way more space with a room that does not get cooled off like it should. So it does technically like drag down everything. And I think the most we ever pay, even with because of rate increases, the most we pay in the summer is about $160.
Yeah.
Way more space, but there's a big old unit out there and tons of insulation. But this room is just so fucking hot. We'll have these in the summer. There will be a low level hum in the background of everything because these fans will be going.
Yep.
And we have a window fan that
we put in the window
Yep.
behind me to pull in extra cool air. Yep. So.
And yeah, I'll work probably in the mornings, and I'll probably maybe get my laptop and go into the living room and do the afternoons because, I cannot.
No, it's not comfortable.
No. Once it's, one, I get sleepy. Two, I don't mind sweating if I'm working, if there's a purpose, if I'm actively doing something. I don't mind to sweat, it's fine. But sitting still in my own fucking house and something about it makes me so angry. Like, I just get so pissed off.
Well, I mean, I'll be out in the shop working, and I don't mind. If I'm out there in the shop working in the summer, I expect to sweat.
Yeah, of course.
But when I come in the house,
this is not the place I should be sweating.
I shouldn't be sweating
No.
in here. No. Nope.
No. I do. I get, like, irrationally agitated. There's no rhyme or reason for my anger, and there's no real direction for it. I spray it out, and it hits everybody. No, I don't like to. No, don't like to. So, yeah, we're still recovering from last year, but one of the things that will continue to be on our list is getting new windows.
Yeah.
Because that'll make a difference.
That's part of the problem in here. The windows are double paned, which is supposed to be energy efficient, but these windows have some wear and tear on them, and they're not sealed properly.
And
they
there's
leak.
so many of them.
Yeah.
That's a wall of windows, yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
We also need to get HVAC in and maybe run another duct.
Another duct.
And that would
in
probably
here.
help too.
Yeah.
But, we're still, like we said at the top of this, still recovering from an accident in September.
Yeah.
So, there's just a lot that was going on. But, no, so, yeah. I'm a Florida girl. Happy to be a Florida girl. It's funny. I've never thought about this, and apparently it's kind of part of Florida, for some people, identity of being a Floridian. Like, if you live in Florida, you're a Floridian. If you do something stupid and it hits the news, you're definitely a Floridian. That's mostly our main goal down here, is we just try not to do anything so stupid that we become Florida man or Florida woman or Florida dog I've seen, and Florida cat. What? I don't know. But apparently part of the identity down here, because so many people tend to be transplants, you move to Florida, and people who are born in Florida often tend to leave Florida. I can't imagine why. Mostly when we moved down here, first in Tampa Bay and then now where we live in Central Florida, people have decals and bumper stickers that say Florida grown, Florida born, that kind of stuff. And
Flow grown.
I never thought about it, but there are people who are born in Florida, live in Florida, stayed in Florida, quote, true Floridians. Further proof that humans will definitely try to categorize in other people because we just can't help ourselves. But I finally, like, that occurred to me, and I looked at both boys and I went, y'all are Florida grown, because they were born in Florida. And they're both like, oh, yeah. And I was like, that's right. Yeah, that's right. People who are born here do stay here sometimes. We're not all transplants. I'm technically a transplant, but I moved here when I was 2 months old. So I don't know. I feel like I wasn't technically born here, but And then I moved away for a decade, but I came back. Which could, you might question my sanity for that. But in all fairness, I was moving from Mississippi. So what does that tell you? Oh, yes, that's right. Because Ella will sit in your lap, but not mine. And Onyx will sit in your lap, but not mine. And Ella will sit in both kids' laps, but not mine. Are you going to purr into the microphone? She's loving it. So, oh my God, she's so happy. I'm jealous. I was telling them earlier, I was like, I want to get a third cat, one that will snuggle with me. And then I was like, first of all, we would traumatize Onyx. And second of all, watch that cat not want to fucking snuggle with me either. So, oh, hello, Ella. Oh. Hello, Ella. Are you... And she changed her mind. Oh, yeah, just swish your tail on my mic, though. It's fine. Yeah. Thank God she's pretty. Yeah. And Lola, who was snoring, sleeping soundly, not a care in the world. The moment Ella got up here, all Lola's attention is on what's happening over here now.
Yeah, I'm getting side-eyed.
You are. Lola does not appreciate anybody else getting the love and affection that is supposed to be hers and all hers. She was outside in the rest of the house roaming and meowing mournfully.
Yeah.
And she figured out she could get in through the bedroom window. And did. And now she's happy.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yes, X, I think that was a pretty visit.
Yeah.
That was. She was like, oh, let's give her a little glimmer of hope. And then snatch it away. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We had to go into the pet store the other day because we usually get their cat food from Sam's Club because we can get it in bulk at a much better price. And Sam's Club is out. Also online, they are out. So we're like, oh shit, the cats are out of food. We go to Petco, which we don't normally do anymore. And we go in and we always go look at the cats they have that are up for adoption. And then these massive cats, tabbies. Do they have a calico? I know they had 3 tabbies.
There was a calico, but she was hidden.
Oh, I didn't get to see her.
Yeah.
And the tabbies. Oh, hello, ma'am. I can't. If I comment on it too much, she will leave. So I'll just pretend and I'll just give her the love she deserves. They had tabbies in their needing to be adopted. 2 were a bonded pair, but these tabbies were the size of both Onyx and Ella combined. And I was like, I bet they'd make a good snuggle bug. I don't know what I'd do with a large cat, though, now that we've got 2 relatively small ones. Hi, Bobby. We're not going to... Ah! She's bit me! Bitch! God damn it! Lord. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. But, yeah, the tabbies were precious. One was super friendly. I even said on the little thing, like, he's super friendly. And when I, like, tapped the glass, he was, like, right there. And I was like, I would pick you up and carry you and hug you and squeeze you and call you George. Actually, he had a name I would have kept. This cat, big fucking cat. They called him Moose. And I went, yeah, that seems right. And I would not rename you. You would be Moose. And now I want a third cat.
No.
I know.
Hard no.
I know we can't. Hell, we're not even, like, it can't even be a conversation until we get all 3 animals caught up on all their vet stuff. Which we will. Mm-hmm. But I just... Silent, when we adopted Onyx, there were 2 cats that caught our interest. Onyx and this big old orange cat. And Onyx was small and cute and was playful. And the big orange cat was not at all playful. But the big orange cat absolutely let us pick it up and hold it and, like, snuggle it. And I would not want to replace Onyx at all. I'm so glad we have Onyx. She definitely fits this family. But also, I would like to go and find, not that orange cat. Obviously, it's been adopted out. but I would like to go find a cuddly orange cat.
Yeah. Well, as
really
as
like
much
that.
as Onyx takes to me, she will not let me pick her up either.
No, she's not going to let anybody pick her up.
She's not going to let anybody
But
pick
she
me
does
up.
sit in your lap.
When I am at my desk in my chair, she does come and she curls up in my lap and sleeps. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And also, she would love to. I think she's tried a little bit when you're sitting on the couch to come sit in your lap, but Lola's usually there, and Lola's not about that life.
No.
So yeah, no, Onyx doesn't let anybody pick her up, and that's gonna be fun when we do have to get her to the vet.
Yeah.
I think we've got the sedation medicine for Ella that Ella has to have. I think we might use it on Onyx. But yeah. So.
Well, it's midnight.
It is midnight. Mr. Spock. Mr. Spock's just pointing out facts and our history. Thank you for being our historian. Mr. Spock says, I will just mention that there was a hard no on the first cat before Onyx joined the family. I do recall that.
Yeah.
I do recall that. We've all talked about, we have no idea if we will get a second dog
Lola.
ever. But if we do, we'll probably foster first. Lola is now extremely interested in her bed. Why? Because Ella decided that Lola's office bed was a lovely cushion to lay on. And so Lola, who has not looked at that fucking bed in probably 2 weeks, had to go sniff it and find out. And Ella's not a stupid girl. She's a mean girl, but she's not a stupid girl. She got the fuck off that bed. I'll keep that in mind, Mr. Spock. So, yeah, we've got to get everybody caught up on their stuff because all of their annuals slid right past us, and I went, yes, they do need their annual stuff, but no, not right now, not in the year of our Lord 2021. Thanks. So, we're hoping in the next few weeks to get those scheduled. 1 appointment a day. I will not take all 3 into the vet at the same fucking time. This is not. So. But. Yeah, I think if a second dog is ever in our future, we'll probably foster first. Yeah. Partly because we want to make sure that Lola would be fine with it, and partly because I'm not gonna lie, when you foster, you get the rescue pays for a lot of stuff at first, which would be helpful.
What?
So.
Wanna come up? Come on.
Right. So I mean, money just doesn't exist. If I could figure out how to grow the fucking money, I would do it. But yeah, we are knock on wood hoping for a tax refund this year. We got one last year, so we're kind of hoping we get one this year and take everybody to the vet because we know how to live.
There she is.
Hi, Lola.
There's the big girl.
Hi, Lola. So. But. Hi, ma'am. Are you snorting into the microphone now?
Snorty McSnorterson.
Snorty McSnorterson.
Oh, my big girl. Come here.
Oh, my, the way they look at one another, y'all. I wish somebody looked at me the way that JB and Lola look at one another. That would be nice. That's my dream. Oh, I think Lola wants to go out. Do you want to go out, ma'am? You need to pee. A midnight pee. Oh, it feels so good out here.
Right?
I need to go out there and lift my shirt and my boobs and just let the cold air hit it. It's our backyard. We got a fence.
Well, we're
Nobody
all
will see.
fenced in the backyard. No one would, yeah.
Yeah, I'll become a billionaire just for letting everybody know how to grow money, but I will do it. Share the wealth in all the ways.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I don't regret our babies at all, but
No. Well, I was thinking that when I had to pick up the bag of dog food after we went shopping, and I was like, dang, never had to buy bags like this for Saki.
no, we could get him the little 4-pound bag, and it would last a little over a month.
Yeah.
I know. We could get them the little cans of dog food, and it'd be in quarters, and that would last. 2 cans would last over a week.
Yeah.
Oh, there's ma'am wanting to come back.
She's done already. She was all about the business. Went out, got her done, coming home. And there she is again.
So.
Lumbering in.
And you're welcome, Salome. I wanted everybody to have the visual. So it's shirt up, boobs up, which could probably all come up together if I was careful about it. I'll say this. I see a lot of people talk about how they miss their perky bosom. It's never been perky for me. Tired. Sleeping on the job since day one. Yeah. It's fine. You know, I kind of worry sometimes about these conversations we have during the lives because we keep the videos up. I used to not keep the videos up, and then enough people said, no, keep them up. And I see that people go back and they watch. Maybe they're not watching, or just background noise or whatever, which we're fine with. But I do think that, like, if you're not watching the live chat and I say some shit, like, I just have to wonder. I worry. Like, I'm like, people are going to be like, what the... I mean, I'm sure everybody at some point in the Loving BDSM audience has asked yourself, what the fuck is wrong with Kayla? But I feel like the videos left after the stream, if you're not diligently watching the chat, like, I just think that happens more often. So... You know, Silent Winged, I actually was watching a video the other day, and yes, I know there's a surgery, and I would not mind it. I don't want extra. I don't want implants. I don't want to use my fat. I got enough. I would just like them to stand at attention. It would be nice. I ended up going down a rabbit hole of watching videos about plus-size tummy tucks, where you don't have to have lost a ton of weight and you can legitimately get a tummy tuck. And I was like, oh, yeah, I would love that. I don't mind being thick. I don't mind it at all. I am very curious to know what life would be like with a flat-ish stomach. Even if it's, like, not the thinnest stomach. I don't need all that. What must that be like? Because that's another thing. This stomach has never been flat. When I hear somebody go, oh, I wish I had the body I had when I was 18 or 20, I'm like, I kind of do too, because I took that body for granted. But there's no weight I'm trying to get down to. I'm still there. Thanks. Sometimes I'm a little bigger, but... But the stomach was never flat my whole life. It was no. But yeah, I went down that rabbit hole. I looked at pricing and then went, well, guess that gets to remain a fantasy. I don't think you could sell enough paddles for me to do that. No. You know, yes, I too would like mine. I want mine just looking forward. I don't even care if it's at the same time. I just want them looking forward. I want them to see see straight ahead. And I mean, they've been looking at the ground for a very long time. They know it intimately. It'd be nice to change the boobies view. Mm-hmm. I don't want to change the size of my nip. I don't want none of that. I mean, I think some of that changes based on the surgery anyway, but I don't, like, I just come up here and go, and then tie something off somewhere, however that works. But the plus size tummy tuck, hell yeah. So, but now my up and down weight and having lost weight, yeah, the place I lose it first is in my boobs. And then they just, over the years, they sag a little bit more. They lean a little bit more. My boobs are going to touch my toes before I ever do. Yes, Path Girl, it's a thing. Sarah Ray Vargas here on YouTube did a video about her consultation. She's going to be having the surgery, I think, later this year. And that sent me on a rabbit hole of watching other videos. And yes. So, yes, he tied them in the back like a halter top. Thank you. Just pop them up. So, I don't know how we do this, but I feel like Silent and Mr. Spock need a bonus. I mean, they're not getting paid, though, so I'm not sure what the bonus would be. I don't know. Maybe I'll let Silent dictate a couple of shots or let Silent start me on ranting. Like, what would y'all like as a bonus? y'all are the stars of the live chat, for real, for real.
Right.
So it is after midnight, and we did decide we had a lot of stuff we were going to do this weekend.
Yeah.
Including having to have a serious discussion when we both know we don't agree. Right now.
Right.
Not like we're not angry about it. We just know we each have very strong feelings, and those feelings are in direct opposition to one another. So I think what JB said to me today was, "I'll let you try to convince me," and I was like, "Challenge accepted."
Right. See, there you go. There you go.
We have to have that discussion. I believe there's a trip to a craft store in somebody's future.
Yes.
So where are you going? I mean, I'm going with you, but where was your place?
Novelty shop.
That's right, the sex toy shop. How did I forget that? How did I forget that? How did I forget that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the sex toy shop. What's funny is, and this has been typical of my experience with every in-person sex toy shop I've ever gone to in multiple different towns across a couple of states. Every single one from the outside has looked dodgy as fuck. A couple, they weren't dodgy on the inside, but it's like, you did not give thought to atmosphere when you put this together. You just like crammed as much fucking shit in here as you could. Oh, okay, fine. There are lots of stores like that. Walmart's one of them.
Yeah.
But there are some, and this one appears to be like this. We'll know for sure when we go tomorrow, where the aesthetic in there is like fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And you want to know how we learned that the dodgy sex toy shop in the middle of nowhere, Central Florida, apparently it looks amazing when you walk in? Where did they post pictures of the interior of their store?
On the Nextdoor app.
I was like, damn, that shop can do more on Nextdoor than they probably can get away with doing on fucking Facebook. But also, thank God for that, because that was how we knew, oh wait, this is legitimately not a dodgy place. We can go in and feel comfortable in here. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, they actually had one in Clearwater that was like that.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
That was owned by a husband and wife originally. And when they opened the shop, they wanted it to be a place that, was not all seedy and it was brightly lit in there. Everything was well organized. The staff was friendly and talked, and it was really a cool place.
It's strange. I equate anything related to sex with my life as Kayla Lords, which I live primarily online. And so the person who puts clothes on gets in the car and goes to the craft store, and apparently the sex toy shop is, insert legal name here, my vanilla self. And Kayla is like, I hope they don't think I'm walking in there and don't know shit about what I'm about to see.
Right.
I could hold a couple of workshops for them. Don't fuck with me. But also, I don't want to be on. Like, I don't want to walk in there as Kayla Lords.
Right.
One, they won't give a fuck. They don't know who that is. And two, that's work. Like, that's my job, and this is my day off, and I just want to go look at some vibrators. I thought I was going to buy something, and that's not an option, and that's okay. I got a thing coming up where I'm going to be in possession of a lot of them. So I don't need to buy myself anything. It's fine. But I don't know. Like, part of me is like, but wait, that's a sex thing. So work me has to go. Because vanilla me is very reserved and doesn't mind stuff, but is also like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to, don't be friendly. But, like, Kayla's like, bitch, I know
I'll
some
make
shit.
up for it.
I'm going to pretend I don't know you if you start talking to folks. I'm going to go look at something else. We'll have to browse separately. I don't, Nope. No, the dishwasher is not working yet, by the way.
No.
We're also hoping for that tax refund. We can hire somebody to fix the dishwasher. No, our
we that was a question that was asked early on in the relationship, prior to a relationship, about which way the toilet paper goes.
Oh yeah, we're in total agreement with that.
Total agreement on that.
And
yeah.
we are both the type of people, if we are in somebody else's house and your toilet roll is wrong, we will fix it for you. We'll never say a word. We don't ask for thanks. We don't need a ticker tape parade or to be celebrated as the heroes we are, but we will fix it for you. It's fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My mama raised me right. Roll goes down. Paper goes down. You got to roll. I get the most annoyed with when it's wrong is in public restrooms where it's usually paper thin, it's a super thin shit, and then it gets caught on the fucking like serrated part that's supposed to tear off, and then you're like, you've got half a bit, and you're like, I've got to wipe something important here, and you're like, I fucking hate that shit. And I can't fix it because it's usually locked away in a plastic thing. Or if I tried to open the plastic thing, I would break it. So we just... So...
All right, it's 12:16 now.
I know. I got my... This gave me a burst of energy.
You got a second wind, didn't you?
I got a second wind. I'll feel it when we stop.
Yeah.
And I really... Nobody wants this. It's fine. You won't have to see it. I really am ready to take clothes off, be naked, and lay starfish under a ceiling fan. Like, every crevice and fold is swampy, and I have a lot of crevices and folds. So... Oh, Kim, over. We're over. Yeah. Yeah, see, the sub versus mom stuff, I compartmentalize pretty well because I know I'm very solid in myself and strong in myself as who I am as a mom. The rest, it all flows. My work is a kink life, so I don't have to be outside of my sub self most of the time. But in the places where there might be some question, like I do have to be in charge in a work sense, we have very clear boundaries of what I'm in charge of and what he's in charge of and where I have to go get his input because he's the decider. The rest, it flows. It's fluid for me. It was not always that way. In the early days, it was very compartmentalized. And in that way, I compartmentalized between my submissive self, my baby girl self, like all the different sides of myself, and those now flow together. And now we've been in our relationship long enough and working together long enough that it flows.
Yeah. The
only compartmentalization is my role as a parent, and that's an easy one for me. I don't like not being able to be my subby self with JB when it's time to parent. Meaning, if we don't agree, when we agree on what we're doing as parents, I can defer to him. He can say what he needs to say. He can lay down the law, whatever. I can be subby in that kind of way. My kids don't perceive me that way because they hear me lay down the law often enough too. It's when we disagree that the compartmentalization has to be stronger, but it is harder. Because when I disagree with JB as a parent... and what we're doing with the kids, I have to stand firm in that. And none of that sounds submissive. And it's not, because I'm not coming at it from a submissive place. But I can do that because the relationship is strong and because the basic tenet of our relationship, regardless of power exchange, is that I, even though I'm in a submissive role, can say anything I have to say. Anything that's important to me, it can be something he doesn't want to hear. I have total freedom to say it as long as I say it with respect.
Right.
So the only time there's pushback from him when I stand my ground in mom mode is if the respect diminishes from my tone. And a couple of times it has. We've had really strong disagreements. And you have... not like in a bad way, but like unintentionally, you've tried to dom me in that. And I had to be confident enough to go, whoa. This ain't a time for that. You can't dom me out of this. This is the time where our power exchange has to be on the back burner because that was our agreement. But part of that, compartmentalizing between being a submissive and work, I don't have to anymore. I work for myself. I work in kink. But when it comes to making decisions, we know we have negotiated our individual roles in business much like we did in our power exchange.
Yeah.
So I know what I'm in charge of to decide, and I know where I have to go get input. But we're also business partners, so I'm going to go get his input on most things anyway. For people who don't have that luxury, you're not working in kink and you haven't like a job in a more traditional way. The recommendation is usually to have a clear signal for yourself when you get home or after the kids are in bed or whatever, that a signal so you're like, okay, mom mode is done, work mode is done, I'm submissive mode right now. For some people that's putting on a collar. For some people that's assuming a position in the bedroom. Stereotypically it's kneeling, but it doesn't have to be. For some people it's putting on a certain outfit or taking off their clothes. Like there are different signs and signals that you can create so that over time your brain associates, I'm doing this thing now, oh, that means we're in this mode. And that's a thing that we often, you know, offer up as a tip. But for parenting, especially if you're in a relationship with the kid's, you know, parent, bio or step, doesn't matter. Negotiate the boundaries on that.
Yep.
So that if your mom mode or your dad mode or your parent mode has nothing to do with your kink role, say that out loud, establish that line, make it clear what you will accept as a parent and what you will not from the other parent. But yeah, that's how I tend to do that.
All right, girl.
Okay, we have to go now,
On
don't
that
we?
note,
yeah.
time we say goodnight.
We're going to go now.
Yep.
Oh, it took me a second. Silent Wing had said, as toilet paper goes, beards over mullets. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right.
It's almost 12:30 a.m. our time. We're like Cinderella and her pumpkin. Thank y'all for being with us or joining us when you could, for sticking to the bitter end if you were here from the beginning.
Glad to have you with us.
If you watch/listen later when this is no longer a stream and it's just a video, hi. Yeah, the live chat is your friend.
Right.
So
wishing everybody a good weekend.
yes, this was a really good stream. I got my energy back, and I started out. Go back if you showed up later. Watch the first 5 minutes. I was a cranky baby girl. The conversation was good. Thanks for the questions.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody who stayed like kind and respectful in the chat, because it's easy to have really strong opinions about stuff. But and yeah, we're gonna go.
Yep.
Bye.
Good night or good day.
Whatever.
Whatever it may be.
Bye.